The Emperor of Work begins with Conan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51. I'm the mastermind. You are the accomplice. Nobuchi Sasei is dead. There is no doubt about it. He died in front of everyone, killed on the spot by Toyama Tobi in a self-defense posture. Not only the police saw what Nobuchi Sasei did before his death, but the tourists who were watching also saw it clearly. He raised the kitchen knife in his hand and prepared to kill Toyama Tobi. Whether from a legal or rational point of view, Toyama Tobi's counterattack against Nobuchi Sasei can be said to be completely reasonable. Even if the King of Heaven came, he would have to praise Toyama Tobi as a good self-defense. The first time Nobuchi Sasei fell to the ground, Conan ran towards him with his short legs. Conan was desperate to find that the kitchen knife had been pulled out of his chest. This man was obviously beyond saving. Conan closed his eyes in pain, and this time he was a step slower. Toyama Tobi came to the nearest police station as a hostage with Yokomizo Sango and told the whole story of his conflict with Nobuchi Sasei. Then he talked about his identity as an official informant of the Metropolitan Police Department. Yokomizo Sango immediately contacted the Metropolitan Police Department to confirm, and then his attitude changed 180 degrees. If Yokomizo Sango used to treat Toyama Tobi in a business-like manner, then now it was a communication between close people. To be honest, Yokomizo Sango was also very scared after such an accident. To put it bluntly, it was fortunate that Sasei Shinichi took Toyama Tobi as a hostage at the time. Counting Sasei Shinichi, this is already the second gangster who died at the hands of Toyama Tobi. If Sasei Shinichi had taken other tourists as hostages at the time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. In this way, Toyama Tobi, with his strong communication skills, expanded his network of contacts from the Metropolitan Police Department to the Saitama Prefectural Police Headquarters. The two even began to call each other brothers when they parted. As the saying goes, there is no one in the world who is not a brother. Meiji Juzan, who was far away in Tokyo, suddenly sneezed. After taking the statement, Toyama Tobi returned to the hotel. Sasei Shinichi's episode did not affect Toyama Tobi's interest in playing. The night festival has ended, but the celebration is still going on. The celebration lasted until the late night, and Toyama Tobi returned to the hotel suite and waited for Conan to come to the guest bedroom. That's right, Toyama Tobi believed that Conan must have something to say to him. Sure enough, Toyama Tobi had just sat down for a while when there was a knock on the door. He opened the bedroom door and found Conan standing at the door. Toyama Tobi's eyes showed a hint of disappointment at the right time. What are you disappointed about? What are you disappointed about? The radar of the jealous king of East Asia sounded an alarm in his heart. There are only 4 of them living in this suite. Toyama Tobi can't expect Maori Kagoro to knock on his door in the middle of the night. This guy is still obsessed with Xyanalan. At this moment, Conan suddenly felt that Suzuki Sonoko and Toyama Tobi were also a good match, although Sonoko was a little crazy and the headband also sealed a lot of her beauty. But she took the initiative. The most important thing is that she is not Xyanalan. I knew you would come. Come in and sit down. Toyama Tobi let Conan into the bedroom and found a chair to sit down. Conan sneered at Toyama Tobi's words. If Toyama Tobi really knew that he would come, how could he have shown such a disappointed expression just now? As soon as he sat down, Conan couldn't wait to ask, why did you kill Sasei Nobuchi? This question made Toyama Tobi feel ridiculous. Didn't you see that the knife in Sasei Nobuchi's hand was about to stab my neck? Why couldn't I kill him? With your skills, you can obviously subdue him in the first time, and you won't be held hostage at all. You did it on purpose. You deliberately took hostage and then found an opportunity to kill him. Why? Sasei Nobuchi should be your client, right? He helped you make so much money, but you want to kill him. Conan was furious. Even if he was facing a murderer who was about to die, he would choose to find a way to rescue him. Toyama Tobi's behavior was not only contrary to Conan's code of conduct, but also touched Conan's bottom line. Toyama Tobi stood up and went to the refrigerator in the bedroom to pull out a can of beer. After taking a sip happily, He said to Conan, "I'm good at fighting because I'm talented and I train hard enough. I have suffered so much to get such good skills, not to clean up a stranger's ass. Since Sasai Nobuchi has used a knife on me, I should be prepared to be killed in return. This world is fair. There is no reason why he can kill me, but I can't kill him, right?" Toyama Tobi put the beer in his hand on the coffee table, then sank into the sofa and glanced at Conan, who said, "My client is Sasai Nobuchi. When did I say that? My client is obviously Mr. Imaze, and he asked me to help solve the copyright problem. I ask you, has the copyright problem been solved now? Sasai Nobuchi is dead now, so the copyright problem has been solved. But you clearly..." Conan was about to refute, and then he saw Toyama Tobi pull out a contract. This is the commission contract that Toyama Tobi signed with Imitate Satoshi later. It states that Party A, Imitate Satoshi, commissioned Party B, Toyama Tobi, to help solve the copyright issue of his work Australian Travels. The commission fee is 8 million yen, which has been paid. Not only is there the autograph of Imitate Satoshi, but also his personal seal and the official seal of the studio. Seeing this, Conan couldn't help but understand that the client mentioned by Toyama Tobi in the studio at that time was completely fictitious. His original idea was to eat up the plaintiff and then the defendant, and he didn't intend to let these two people live from the beginning. Hey, that's not what you said. I haven't received a penny from Sasai Nobuchi. If you say that to me, I'm going to sue you for defamation. Toyama Tobi said to Conan casually, and suddenly sat up straight. Although I think there is nothing embarrassing about trying my best to complete the client's commission. But if you must define my behavior as a crime, Conan, you also got the commission fee from Imitate Satoshi. If I'm the mastermind, you are an accomplice. What, are you going to turn yourself into the Metropolitan Police Department? Conan's face was as gloomy as water. He didn't expect that Toyama Tobi was waiting for him here. He was about to retort, "I can return the money to you." Facing Conan's naive idea, Toyama Tobi curled his lips in disdain. "Of course you can return the money to me. But you can fool me. Can you fool yourself? You still spent the commission fee of Imitate Satoshi, right? Or thief stole other people's money and returned the money in a few days. Can you say he has never stolen anything?" Toyama Tobi walked in front of Conan, squatted down and looked at him. "Now you have been dragged into the water by me. We are people on the same boat, kid. Do you have the courage to break this boat and drown with me in the sea?" After saying this, without waiting for Conan to react, Toyama Tobi pulled him up by the back of the collar and sent him out. The night was long, and he couldn't sleep alone. Toyama Tobi didn't want to be in the same room with an annoying, expired elementary school student. Chapter 52 What is rice flour? Ni-Young-Xio. From that night on, Conan fell into a long period of autism. People like Conan who are very opinionated are prone to get stuck in a dead end, and it is difficult for others to help them at this time. Unless Conan figures it out himself. Toyama Tobi is also waiting for Conan to figure it out. He wants to know whether the future Conan will be different from the Conan in the original book under his persistent influence. Since you have traveled through time, you have to make this world more interesting. If you just follow the plot in a conventional way, what's the point of traveling through time? Toyama Tobi is not here to satisfy his detective addiction. It is foreseeable that Conan will remain autistic for some time in the future. Before he figures it out, Jin first finds Toyama Tobi. The two sides agreed to meet at the Daikoku bar in the afternoon. As the name suggests, the Daikoku bar is a bar. There is nothing special about the bar, but the special thing is that this bar is opened by the organization. This is a semi-open contact point for the organization, and many shady transactions are carried out here. At the same time, some outsiders who want to contact members of the organization can also convey it through this bar. Toyama Tobi came to the bar with ease. Today, the bartender on duty was Kohen. After saying hello to his former instructor, Toyama Tobi ordered a glass of vodka and waited for Jin to arrive at the booth. Jin was always on time. When there were still 5 minutes before the meeting time, he brought vodka to the Daikoku bar. Toyama Tobi waved to the two of them in the corner. Jin came to the booth with vodka and sat down. There was no need to order. The members of the organization naturally served them the drinks they usually drank. After the strangers left, Toyama Tobi asked Jin expectantly, "Brother, do you have any mission for me?" Jin picked up the glass and took a sip of the wine in the glass, then lit a cigarette. In the smoke, his eyes met Toyama Tobi's expectant eyes. When was the last time he saw such a look? Jin remembered that the last time he saw such a look was from Toyama Tobi, when he said he wanted to blow up the Shinkansen. From then on, Jin knew that his subordinate, who had been picked up for free, was destined to be a troublemaker. Fortunately, this mission did not give Toyama Tobi much room to play freely, and Jin did not think that Toyama Tobi could do anything big. "Have you heard of this place called Tsukikage Island?" Jin asked Toyama Tobi with a cigarette in his mouth. "I've heard of it. It seems that there was a famous pianist there before." Toyama Tobi had not only heard of it, but had heard of it too much. The famous Tsukikage Island is a classic plot that every Conan fan fiction will not miss. The famous Issei Makoto, a transvestite who deceived people in the early days of Conan, finally died in the Sea of Fire. Just thinking about it makes many viewers sigh. He just killed a few drug dealers to avenge his father, but ended up setting himself on fire. This is not only a pity, but also a hard to let down. Yes, it's there. Jin nodded and began to introduce his mission to Toyama Tobi. Friends who have watched Conan know that there is a drug trafficking gang hidden on Tsukikage Island. They have made a lot of money by selling drugs over the years. The main sales targets of the Tsukikage Island gang are drug addicts in Tokyo. They get the goods from abroad, then return to Tsukikage Island for a packaging, and finally wholesale them to agents in Tokyo, making huge profits. From production, manufacturing, processing, to sales, the organization has nothing to do here. Although everyone is studying drugs, the organization has always disdained to make such low-level products. Among the two most profitable businesses of arms and drug trafficking, the black organization chose arms. The flood of guns in Bihua town is a disaster, and it is hard to guarantee that there is no credit for the organization here. Of course, the organization and Tsukikage Island are not completely unrelated. After all, Tokyo is the organization's territory. If the Tsukikage Island gang wants to sell washing powder to Tokyo, they must pay tribute. Among them, 20% of the net profit is the protection fee that the Tsukikage Island gang needs to pay to the organization. As a result, 2 years ago, the former gang leader Gishin Yang, who was originally responsible for negotiating with the organization, died of a heart attack, resulting in a sharp drop in the amount of protection fees paid that year. This year, it was clearly time to pay the protection fee, but the Yuang Island gang acted as if nothing had happened and did not send anyone to contact the organization. It is not difficult to see that the remaining members of the Yuang Island gang should feel that their wings are strong enough and no longer need to turn a blind eye to the organization. Of course, Yuan Shenfei is more inclined to believe that the former leader Gishin Yang is probably aware of the strength of the organization. So the protection fee has not fallen for a year, but he did not tell other gang members about this. This led to the death of Gishin Yang, and other people began to have some thoughts that they should not have. That's 20% of the profit. Who is willing to hand it over for no reason? So the task of collecting the money from the Yuang Island gang fell on Yuan Shenfei's head. Am I a rice flour in Yangxio? Yuan Shenfei felt a little strange. This kind of infernal affair style plot development is really hard to hold. Yuan Shenfei resisted this task from the bottom of his heart, mainly because those people were a group of drug dealers who deserved to die. He didn't want the people from Yuang Island to pay the money honestly, he just wanted them to die. So Yuan Shenfei asked, what if they insist on not paying? Jin's answer did not disappoint Yuan Shenfei, then cleaned them up. Jin is not an anti-drug pioneer, but if the people from Yuang Island dare not pay the money, others will follow suit. If the people's hearts are scattered, it will be difficult to lead the team. Such a precedent must not be set. From the moment Yuan Shenfei got Jin's approval, the drug dealers on Yuang Island were destined to have only one ending. System prompt. You have accepted the new task collecting debts. Jin, your direct leader Jin asked you to go to Yuang Island to collect the protection fees and late payment fees owed by the gang for 2 years. You have the right to choose according to the other party's attitude. 1. If the other party cooperates, you will collect the protection fees and late payment fees normally. 2. If the other party does not cooperate, your mission will automatically change to cleanup operation. Complete option 1, and you will receive a large amount of cash dividends and the skill sniper, Gin version. Complete option 2, and you will receive the authority to dispatch a small number of peripheral members in the Gin tray. Iron Lung Yuanshin Tobi was calmly checking the mission rewards on the booth. He did not regret missing the Gin sniper skill. It doesn't matter, if there is no Gin, there is still Akeshuchi. When the FBI comes to Tokyo, it will be enough to find a way to be an informant. Yuanshin Tobi's focus has always been option 2. The authority to dispatch a small number of peripheral members is very simple. That is, Yuanshin Tobi will have subordinates to call upon in the future. As for the tray of Jin's iron lung, he looked up at Jin, who was still puffing out smoke, and secretly said in his heart that it was awesome. He smoked at this frequency every day, and in the end he could still fight with the red team without getting lung cancer. Big Brother's iron lung is awesome at first glance. Thinking of this, Yuanshin Fei couldn't help but say to Jin, "Brother Jin, I will complete this task as soon as possible. However, I may need some manpower for the preliminary preparations." Chapter 53, Big Trouble. Using his credit points with Jin, Toyama Tobi completed a successful pre-consumption. Half of the reward for option 2 was credited. Vodka quickly sent the people Toyama Tobi wanted. In a safe house of the organization, Toyama Tobi met his 3 subordinates for the next period of time. A fierce man with a rosary wrapped around his wrist, and an honest man who looked timid. If these 2 peripheral members were just unique in appearance, then the 3rd subordinate made Toyama Tobi speechless. "Come on, pretty girl, introduce yourself." Toyama Tobi asked the only woman among the 3 peripheral members with a hint of expectation. "My name is Miyano Akimi, a peripheral member of the organization, and I will obey your orders from today." The woman, "Oh no, it should be Miyano Akimi," said in a proper manner, and it sounded like there was no problem. This problem is so big that it has no limit. Toyama Tobi's last hope was shattered, and he felt that a big trouble had fallen into his hands. "You wait here." After giving the order, Yuanshin Fei immediately walked out of the room, went to the door and called Vodka. "Yuanshin. Haha, how about the men I arranged for you? I tell you, these people were picked out for you from the peripheral members with great difficulty. The quality is absolutely impeccable." Yuanshin Fei was now very angry when he heard Vodka's voice, but he still asked patiently, "What's the matter with that Miyano Akimi?" "That?" Vodka was stuck for a moment, but still replied, "I tell you Yuanshin, don't look at Miyano Akimi as a woman. But she has a master's degree, and is considered a rare highly educated talent in the organization. Am I fucking talking to you about academic qualifications?" Yuanshin Fei cursed directly. "Rum has given me access to the organization's intelligence library. That guy's ex-boyfriend is an FBI who defected from the organization. You throw such a big trouble directly to me? I say, Senior Vodka, I, Yuanshin Fei, should not have offended you, so why do you mess with me like this?" Yuanshin Fei's originally level intelligence authority did not allow him to view the information of other members, but since it was upgraded to D-level authority, many modules have been unlocked. Among them, the bounty of Shuchiake, the former cadre of the organization and the current FBI agent, is clearly hung at the top of the bounty area. He is the person that all members of the organization must kill when they meet him. Let's put it this way, if a member of the organization finds an opportunity to kill Shuchiake while performing a mission, but the premise is to give up the mission at hand, then as long as this member can successfully kill Shuchiake, it doesn't matter if he fails in the mission he should perform. He will even get a reward from the organization. In Shuchiake's intelligence, his ex-girlfriend Akimi Miyano is naturally marked. Of course, the fact that Akimi Miyano is the biological sister of Shirley from the R&D team is not shown in the intelligence. It should be that Toyama Tobi's authority is insufficient. Shuchiake is a traitor of the organization and everyone can kill him. But Shirley is the pillar of the R&D team. If there is no cadre's authority, it is obviously not enough to query information about her. Facing Toyama Tobi, who directly pointed out the identity of Akimi Miyano and the unfriendly tone on the phone, Vodka was also scared at this moment. Toyama Tobi's workplace ability has been confirmed by Vodka. It is too easy for a capable person like Toyama Tobi to get someone Vodka is still thinking about getting along well with Toyama Tobi, so he can only tell the truth. Don't blame me, Toyama brother. It was actually Jin's idea to hand me Hayano Akimi to you. That woman has been a little restless recently, and she needs someone she can trust to keep an eye on her. You know that person, brother. There are not many people in the entire organization that you can trust. The others are carders with code names, and it is not appropriate to hand me Hayano Akimi to them. So this task can only fall on you, brother. Vodka flattered Toyama Tobi in a roundabout way, almost making Toyama Tobi laugh. This compliment was given to him. If he was a young man who had just entered the society, he might really be so impulsive that he would work hard for the company for life without asking for anything in return. Toyama Tobi obviously couldn't shirk the task that fell on him, but it didn't mean he couldn't ask Vodka for some benefits. Yuan Shenfei softened his tone and said to Vodka earnestly, Senior Vodka, you also know that I'm going to carry out the mission given by my elder brother. You said that you only sent me 3 people and a time bomb. You made it very difficult for me to do this. Vodka was naturally not a fool to be able to follow Jin for so long. Or he was more of a wise fool. People like Jin would definitely not be at ease with a smart person who followed him all day. So he simply asked, Brother, you are being polite. Just tell me how I can help you. Hearing Vodka say this, Yuan Shenfei was satisfied. After thinking for a while, he said, this time, my brother, I have to deal with a group of vicious drug dealers. I always feel a little unsafe without a good guy in my hand. Yeah, brother, what you said. What do you want? Vodka understood when he heard Yuan Shenfei say this. Although the organization is the largest arms smuggler in the Tokyo area, it does not mean that the organization can equip all members, especially peripheral members and ordinary members, with weapons. Within the organization, only carders with code names can get free weapons. Ordinary members and peripheral members will not be provided with hot weapons unless there is a mission requirement. This is not only for cost considerations, but also to keep a low profile. Otherwise, there are countless peripheral members in the organization. Even if everyone has a pistol, it is enough to cause chaos in the whole Tokyo. The organization knows exactly what kind of people its peripheral members are. Of course, there are differences between peripheral members and ordinary members. At least after becoming an ordinary member, you can buy cheap firearms from the organization at an internal price. Considering that Toyama Tobi is going to collect debts from the drug dealers on Yuang Island, it is reasonable for him to have some firepower for self-defense. So Vodka took out a notebook and prepared to write down Toyama Tobi's needs. To be honest, this is the first time that brother Toyama has asked him for help. Vodka is ready to give him more on the basis of Toyama Tobi's request. It's about building relationships. Anyway, it's the public account of the organization and he doesn't have to pay for it himself. Okay, I knew Senior Vodka was a kind person. I'll tell you then. First, bring 4 pistols for self-defense, then 2 automatic rifles, and a sniper rifle. I saw an RPG in the base's arsenal during training. Bring 1 too. Bring a dozen grenades, and 3 C4 bombs, and a machine gun would be best. Let me think about it. Chapter 54. This group of teammates is the worst I have ever been with. Oh, and bring 3 or 5 stun grenades and smoke bombs, as well as bulletproof vests, night vision goggles, thermal imaging, etc. The more Vodka listened, the more he felt something was wrong. He stopped the conversation with a cold sweat on his forehead. Wait. Brother Yuanshin, why do you need so many weapons? Why? Of course for self-defense. Yuan Shenfei said it, as if it was a matter of course and justified. Do you understand self-defense? Do you understand the phobia of insufficient firepower? I don't understand it at all. Vodka completely collapsed. With this firepower, Yuan Shenfei told him that it was for self-defense. Fucking Yuan Shenfei told him that they were going to attack the Prime Minister's residence and launch a coup tomorrow, and Vodka believed it. So, Dad Yuanshin, you think it's too slow to move up step by step in the political arena, and you are going to launch a military coup directly, right? This is too outrageous. Brother Yuanshin. Vodka's main point is that he is exhausted. He knows that Yuan Shenfei may be a little extreme sometimes, but he didn't expect Yuan Shenfei to be so extreme. It's not that I'm trying to shirk responsibility, it's just that I don't have the authority to give you the things you want. Vodka said to Yuan Shenfei bitterly. If Yuan Shenfei really wanted one or two of them, he would give them to him. But if all these things were given to him at the same time, Vodka secretly slapped himself in the face. What did you pretend to be so high and mighty just now? I say, Senior Vodka, you don't give me this or that. You can't ask me to pay for the task. Yuan Shenfei was dissatisfied and put pressure on Vodka on the phone. In the final analysis, it was Vodka who was not honest. If he had told Yuan Shenfei in advance that this was Jin's task, Yuan Shenfei could not refuse, right? This was purely a handle for others to talk about, and it was inevitable that he would be cut and bled. His Vodka seemed to have turned into an exhaust fan at this moment, and kept inhaling. Yuan Shenfei was not in a hurry, and held the phone and waited quietly. Not long after, before Vodka was poisoned by oxygen, he gritted his teeth, and replied to Yuan Shenfei, Brother Yuan Shen, I won't lie to you. I can't give you all these things, but I can try my best to help you coordinate. Pistols and bullets are easy to say, and grenades and bombs can also be studied, but the rest, such as RPGs and machine guns, are definitely not available with your authority. Besides, with your relationship with the police, it would be too conspicuous if you hold those things. Okay, if these are all I have, I'd better be conservative when I act. Yuan Shenfei was not going to make things difficult for Vodka. Originally, he didn't expect to get so many things at once. As the saying goes, if you seek the best, you will get the middle. This thing is asking for a sky-high price, and it's not worth the money. If Vodka didn't ask for too much, he might not be able to give so much support. Yuan Shenfei's words made Vodka speechless. If this is considered conservative, then what about radical ones? Vodka was also mourning for the gang on Yuang Island. If these people honestly gave the money to Brother Yuan Shen, it would be fine. If they don't pay, they will be in trouble. As for whether they will pay, Vodka knows it very well. If they wanted to pay, they would have paid 2 years ago. So Brother Jin sent Brother Toyama to Moon Shadow Island, because he saw that Toyama Tobi was efficient and sensible. The protection fee of Moon Shadow Island is paid in full, and the money belongs to the organization. But if they don't want to be decent and Brother Toyama helps them to be decent, the money will not only be much more than the protection fee, but they will also get a share. Vodka didn't know if Brother Toyama could think of this, but judging from the fact that Toyama's adoptive father wanted both people and equipment, he might have thought of it a long time ago. Soon, Vodka arranged for his younger brothers to deliver the things Toyama Tobi wanted to the safe house. After getting the things, Toyama Tobi returned to the room at the beginning. After returning to the room, Toyama Tobi found that the peripheral members in this room had been waiting for so long, but none of them were impatient at all. Toyama Tobi suddenly became interested in the 3 of them and the remaining 2 peripheral members. Toyama Tobi clapped his hands, put the things on the table, and said to the remaining 2 peripheral members, okay, the lady has introduced herself, now it's your turn. The fierce man with the rosary on his wrist is called an Udo. He used to be a monk, but the new abbot drove him out of the temple because his appearance was likely to offend pilgrims and customers who came to consult about the cemetery business. Not long after leaving the temple, he was spotted by the black organization and recruited. He has practiced authentic secret judo, and his shoulder throw is authentic. However, because of his unique appearance, he has been responsible for the organization's work. Don't say that the little gangsters who caused trouble in the place where he has basically disappeared. As for the honest man, his name is Kamakoto, and he is a senior peripheral member of the organization. At first glance, this person is ordinary and does not show his talent, but his main goal is to be absolutely safe. People in the organization generally do not have a long time to be able to be peripheral members, or they are upgraded to ordinary members after a few tasks. Either he died in the mission, or he failed in the mission, and was caught by the police, and dealt with by the organization. Under such circumstances, he was able to maintain his level of peripheral members without being promoted or killed. You have to taste the tricks here. What made Yuan Shenfei feel the most amazing was that when Vodka was looking for someone for him, he seemed to have considered his identity. These 3 people had no criminal records with the police, which meant that there would be no hidden dangers, even if someone saw Yuan Shenfei meeting these 3 people. Originally, Yuan Shenfei only wanted to use them as cannon fodder, but now it seems that he needs to use them in a different way. Okay, the 3 of you are my men from today on. Let's get straight to the point and talk about the goal of this mission. Yuan Shenfei took out his mobile phone and fiddled with it for a few times, and an email was sent to their mobile phones. The 3 picked up their phones to check. Miyano Akimi looked at the picture on the phone in surprise and asked uncertainly, "Is this a mail truck?" Toyama Tobi nodded, "Yes. Before dealing with the real mission, some advanced preparations need to be made. I need you to intercept this mail truck heading from the dock to the Beaker Town post office in 3 days. Then bring me all the letters and mails sent from Tsukikachi Island to Beaker Town." After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he took out 3 pistols and some bullets and placed them on the table. "These are the weapons for you to use when you take action. You have to give me a detailed action plan in 1 day." After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he took the remaining things and left the safe house. After Toyama Tobi left, the 3 people left in the room stared at each other for a long time. In the end, Makoto spoke first. "You two, what do you think of Lord Toyama's request?" Miyano Akimi looked confused. She had never participated in the organization's actions and was really in the dark. "By the way, aren't the actions of the peripheral members of the organization all in accordance with the requirements? When do they have to think about the plan themselves?" Anuma Naruto frowned and thought bitterly for a long time before tentatively saying, "How about finding a car to block the mail truck on the road and then use a gun to force them to hand over the mail?" Yoshitsugu, who had always been honest, saw that one of his teammates looked confused and looked like a pure rookie. The other was simply a reckless man, and he couldn't help but sigh. These 2 teammates were really the worst group he had ever followed. Yoshitsugu sighed. "You two, I have an immature plan here. Would you like to hear it? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 55 No Japanese. The next day, the secret safe house of the Black Organization. Yuan Shenfei looked at the detailed plan in his hand and couldn't help but give a sincere praise. "Not bad. Really good. I was right about you. You are just born with good talent for robbery." Why did Yuan Shenfei say that? Because the criminal plan in his hand was so detailed that it couldn't be more detailed. From the basic plan, based on the existing intelligence, to the supplementary plan made after the field investigation. From scouting, to action, to division of labor, even to the final retreat route, it was all available. The most outrageous thing is that this plan even has unexpected situations that may occur during the action, and the response measures have been marked. It can be said that this is a fool's tutorial for mail truck robbery. Even a novice who has no robbery experience can become a qualified robber after reading this tutorial, as long as he can master it by heart. Who made this plan? Yuan Shenfei asked the 3 people. Just as Anuma Naruto was about to answer, Yoshitsugu said, "Lord Toyama, this was done by the 3 of us together." Toyama Tobi waved his hand. "You are one of us. Just call me Brother Toyama." Toyama Tobi, who had been in the organization for a while, finally gained his own younger brothers, and probably also a younger sister who was full of rebellion. Hearing what Yoshitsugu said, Toyama Tobi first looked at Anuma Naruto, who was about to say something but stopped, and then looked at Miyano Akimi, whose eyes were full of clear stupidity. Finally, he looked at Yoshitsugu's face, who was smiling. Toyama Tobi felt a little sympathetic to Yoshitsugu for no reason. Well, how many times did he have to be cheated by other peripheral members of the organization to come up with a crime plan that was so suitable for a novice? Yoshitsugu was able to maintain his level as a peripheral member without being dragged down by other cheating teammates. It was not easy to live through all these years. Yoshitsugu looked at Toyama Tobi with a strange look. Why did this new boss sympathize with him for no reason? Damn, this big boss is not going to use him as cannon fodder. Yoshitsugu was startled and became alert and nervous. Toyama Tobi didn't care about the somewhat nervous Yoshitsugu. He was nervous now because they didn't know who Toyama Tobi was. When everyone gets familiar with him in the future, they will know how good Toyama's foster father is. Most members of the organization joined the organization chart just for money. It just so happens that Toyama Tobi is a man who is familiar with the theory of the Jade Throne Golden Buddha and the Stud Punk principle. Although Toyama Tobi will not offer them the Jade Throne Golden Buddha and Stud Punk, it is still okay to scrape some paint on the Golden Buddha and remove 2 tires of Stud Punk and give them a share of the profits. Now the workers know that the big cake drawn by the boss can only be looked at, and they can't eat it at all. Not to mention the bloody members of the organization. If they are shown but not eaten, it will really cost lives. Toyama Tobi doesn't want to follow the footsteps of many presidents in Bika Town. Very good. Since this plan was made by you, let's practice directly in actual combat. The defense force of the escort mail truck is simply a world of difference from that of the money transport truck. It's just right to use it to run in our team. Since there is no problem, let's set off. Toyama Tobi checked his guns in front of the 3 people. Just as he was about to lead the team to set off, he was carefully stopped by Makoto. That Toyama brother is going with us? How fresh. Jin brother is still carrying out missions in person. I'm definitely not as good as Jin brother. Toyama Tobi said it righteously. The most important thing is that he has been in Bihua town for so long and has not experienced the local customs and people in person. It is also a good choice to practice and warm up on the Bihua mail truck first. Seeing that Toyama Tobi was determined to leave, Yoshitsugu hesitated for a long time before speaking timidly. Brother Toyama, I don't know if you noticed that our plan actually has several precautions. Just say what you want to say, don't be so fussy. Toyama Tobi rolled his eyes. How could he, who was jumping into the plot, have the energy to read the plan completely? Isn't it enough to just take a quick look and have an idea in mind? Besides, it's just robbing a mail truck, not robbing a bank. Why do you need to be so cautious? Don't you see that there are people robbing banks every month in Bika Town? But how many people have robbed mail trucks in all these years? Seeing that Toyama Tobi was impatient, Yoshitsugu could only bite the bullet and say, in our plan, this firearm actually plays a more deterrent role. If the gun is fired, it may be difficult for us to evacuate in the city. This is Yoshitsugu's most real worry. He has seen too many members of the organization. As long as the qualifications are old enough, let alone peripheral members and ordinary members, he has cooperated with the tasks of codename cadres. He knew very well that those who were valued by the organization would not be normal people. If Toyama Tobi and others came and killed without asking for the reason, it would be quite difficult for them. Not only would it be difficult to retreat, but there would be too many hidden dangers in the future. After all, if you rob with a gun, no one would know whether the gun in your hand is real or fake if you don't shoot. In Bihua Town, cases involving real guns are still not investigated, and the weight of such suspected gun cases is obviously not too high. But if a gun is fired, it will be a public safety hazard, and the Metropolitan Police Department will definitely make great efforts to investigate. Although Yoshitsugu had been prepared for such a day when he was working for the organization, it would be better to come later. After finally reaching middle age, Yoshitsugu felt that he could still survive a little longer. Oh, I thought it was a big deal. Yoshitsugu was ready to face Toyama Tobi's thundering anger, but he found that Toyama Tobi just said lightly that he knew. Then Toyama Tobi said, don't worry, your big brother Toyama has a good relationship with the police. I will definitely not do such a thing as killing people indiscriminately. Looking at Toyama Tobi's back, Makoto was deeply puzzled. We are a criminal group, right? Is it okay to say that we have a good relationship with the police? Is big brother Toyama still a subordinate that Lord Jin values? Hiss. I dare not think about it. I can't think about it. Makoto hurriedly called Anoma Udo and Miyano Akimi to follow Toyama Tobi's footsteps. In the alley of Bika Pier, Makoto drove a van with Toyama Tobi and others quietly waiting for the arrival of the mail truck. This is the only way from the pier to Bika post office, and the mail truck will definitely pass by here. What's even better is that this place is remote, and there are basically no passers-by during the day. Toyama Tobi asked a few people in the car to put on gangster masks, pulled out a pistol and said to the mail truck coming from afar, "Remember, when you act later, no Japanese. Chapter 56 Only Japanese? Sir." "Yes sir. Otherwise, how can we say Kyoshitsugu is a talent?" As soon as Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he echoed in English. It's just that his accent sounds a bit lisp. Toyama Tobi was considering whether to let his men learn Korean. Anyway, with the usual practice of Zyorezi and Konishihachi not getting along, even if they catch the wrong person, they can just watch the fun. Why doesn't Bihua Town let its neighbors come and learn from its advanced criminal experience? This is called the rich leading the poor, and completely building Tokyo into a top-notch international metropolis. Unlike Kyoshitsugu's clever Inomine Udo, who seems much more honest, Toyama Tobi doesn't allow him to speak Japanese. After listening to Miyano Akimi's translation, this guy nodded vigorously to show that he understood. As for the last Miyano Akimi, this woman is looking out the window in a trance. She suddenly turned around and looked at Toyama Tobi in confusion. "Brother Toyama, it seems that our target has collided with someone else's car." Miyano Akimi pointed out the window, and a van of the same model as Toyama Tobi suddenly blocked the mail truck. Then several men who looked like gangsters came down with machetes, baseball bats, and golf clubs in their hands, and shouted at the mail truck driver. The SLR and his gang robbed a money transport truck today. These people are not so arrogant. In Bihua Town, it is embarrassing to rob a bank without a gun. But the mail truck is not so particular. This thing is about numbers. The staff accompanying the mail truck did not have guns on them, let alone guns. They didn't even have guns. In this way, 2 staff members on the mail truck were dragged out of the cab and forced to open the lock of the rear compartment. A group of gang members began to work as porters, transporting the packed letters and mails to their vans. Seeing this scene, Toyama Tobi let out a hiss. Has the world developed so strangely? When did mail trucks become so popular? Just as Toyama Tobi was wondering about the motives of these gangsters who were obviously gangsters to rob the mail truck, Makoto came over and said, "Brother Toyama, is our plan still going on as usual? Although these gangsters seem to be more arrogant than each other, Toyama Tobi and his men have an absolute firepower advantage. 4 people and 4 guns. Even if they can't shoot accurately, as long as they are close enough, they can kill them all on the spot. But if they do this, things will get out of hand. Maybe the police will start to investigate along the line of the mail truck." Toyama Tobi is naturally not afraid of the police investigation, because no one will associate him with the mail truck when he does this. But there is no guarantee that Conan will not guess something. Toyama Tobi has discovered that he has always thought that Conan has the so-called protagonist halo. But now it seems that Conan has no aura of the protagonist. The reason why he can always turn danger into safety is because he has a close relationship with Maoli Ran, and they have been together for a long time and have been infected by the aura of God's daughter. Maoli Kagoro, who always loses in gambling and is comparable to Tsunade, can occasionally win the first prize under the influence of Maoli Ran. Not to mention Conan, killing more than 10 people at a time. Toyama Tobi estimates that this should be beyond Conan's tolerance limit. Don't let Conan really awaken the template of Sherlock Holmes and regard himself as Moriarty. Regardless of the consequences, he hugs himself and perishes together. Then this world will not be fun. Fun people are fun people. That is, people who watch fun, not people who turn themselves into fun. If this is true, it will be a serious fun. At least the kind that will be ridiculed by other time travelers for 100 years. What's more, because of the intervention of these gangs, Toyama Tobi has a better action plan. In the back seat, Toyama Tobi took off his hood first, and then signaled his men to take off their hoods as well. Then he took out his cell phone, stared at the gangsters who were moving things, and called Officer Takagi. "Is that Toyama?" "This is Takagi." The phone rang once, and was answered by Takagi Wataru. The news from Saitama Prefecture 2 days ago really made Takagi Wataru understand Toyama Tobi's ability. This official informant recruited by Officer Sato once again killed a person in Saitama Prefecture in a legitimate defense. And he gave a credit to the Saitama Prefecture detective. So far, Takagi Wataru has no doubts about Sato Miwako's words. After all, it's Senior Sato, so reliable. At this time, when he received a call from Toyama Tobi, Takagi Wataru did not dare to neglect it and answered it immediately. Hello Officer Takagi, it's like this. I encountered some small situations here, Toyama Tobi said while making a gesture of the universe with his fingertips, and then lost the Korean market. If Officer Takagi has time, why don't you lend a hand and give us a hand? Okay, of course, no problem, Toyama, I'll wait for you to send me the address. Takagi Shigeru agreed without saying a word. After Toyama Tobi hung up the phone, he nodded to his 3 subordinates. Okay, the support has been called, and now the plan needs to be changed. Toyama Tobi took out the pistol from his body and handed it to Keiyoshitsugu, and then signaled the others to hand over their pistols to him. K, you are responsible for finding a safe place to hide the pistol and take it back after this mission is over. After handing over the gun, Toyama Tobi took off his gloves. Naturally, he would not leave his fingerprints on the pistol. The reason why Keiyoshitsugu was asked to hide the gun was because Keiyoshitsugu was the most reliable among the 3 subordinates. He was the only one who would not let any accidents happen in this mission. Toyama Tobi knew Keiyoshitsugu well. Miyano, you will be in charge of driving and follow the gangsters. I need to know where they are going to send these letters and emails. Detectives from the Metropolitan Police Department will come to support us. The plan has changed. We are going to receive the Good Citizen Award. Remember that you can only speak Japanese later. Keiyoshitsugu got out of the car neatly and did not react until Miyano Akemi drove the van and followed the gangster's car away. Apart from anything else, Toyama Tobi's method of getting people to help made him confused. Keiyoshitsugu thought that Toyama Tobi could at most get support from the organization, but he did not expect it. This new boss actually called the police to help directly, and the kind that is on call at any time. Toyama Tobi's operation confused Keiyoshitsugu again, and he really wanted to ask Vodka now. Boss, are you really sure that this Toyama brother is not an undercover sent by the police? He is so skilled. On the other side, Yuan Shinfei followed the gangsters to a residential area. Under a dilapidated apartment building, a group of people started to move bags of mail into the building. To be honest, Yuan Shinfei still doesn't understand what these gangsters are doing. What on earth do they want to do with so many mails? It can't be that they are a group of perverts who like to pry into other people's privacy and have gathered together to have a big fun today. In addition, seeing how overly excited these people are, Yuan Shinfei always feels that something is wrong with their state. Chapter 57, Leo Gao, do you want the credit? After receiving the address from Toyama Tobi, Officer Takagi and Keiyoshitsugu arrived at the bottom of the apartment building. As soon as Takagi arrived, he saw Toyama Tobi waving at him with a cigarette in his mouth. Hey, Toyama, you smoke? Takagi was a little surprised. This seemed to be the first time he saw Toyama Tobi smoking. Not really. I occasionally smoke a few puffs when I'm bored. Toyama Tobi put out the cigarette, butt in the ashtray on the trash can, and patted the ashes that fell on his body. In fact, this was just Toyama Tobi's advanced practice. Having known Jin for such a long time, Toyama Tobi has been breathing Jin's second-hand smoke. Now that the big brother's iron lung is about to arrive, Toyama Tobi decided to get familiar with it in advance, and then try to let Jin breathe his second-hand smoke in the future. Toyama Tobi is a revengeful person when he comes to the organization. Oh, by the way, what are these? Smoking is nothing surprising to Takagi Wataru. In fact, there are many old smokers among the detectives in the investigation division. Even Takagi himself didn't know when he would become a chain smoker like other old detectives. There was no way. The work of a detective was stressful, and he often had to stay up late. He had to find something to relieve the pressure of work and the fatigue of staying up late. It was just that there were a lot of new faces around Toyama Tobi today, and these new faces were quite distinctive. This made Takagi a little curious. Seeing Takagi's curiosity, Toyama Tobi told the truth. These are the gang members I found. In view of my recent luck, maybe in the future, I decided to find some help for myself. Toyama Tobi pointed at Miyano Akemi and Keiyoshitsugu, one of whom looked like an educated woman and the other looked like an honest man who was easy to bully. The purpose of putting it in the team is obvious. I have always encountered a lot of incidents recently, and you police can't help me keep it secret. It is inevitable that I will become famous one day, and then those wanted criminals or gangsters who are on the run may recognize me and not choose me as a target. The two of them are the backup targets I chose for the gangsters." Then Toyama Tobi pointed to Udo, who looked very fierce and good at fighting, and said, "This is the helper I found, so that I won't be overwhelmed when there are a large number of gangsters. What do you think, Officer Takagi? My team looks reliable, right?" "Reliable, it's quite reliable." Takagi Shige hesitated for a while. Why did he hear that Toyama Tobi's gang seemed to be prepared for fishing enforcement? No, is this behavior really allowed? Takagi Shige's eyes swept across Miyano Akimi, Kei Yoshitsugu and Udo. Miyano Akimi gave him an awkward but polite smile, and Kei Yoshitsugu gave him a loyal, honest but somewhat awkward flattering smile. Udo, who looks the most unruly, might as well not smile. Takagi Shigeru shook his head vigorously. Shouldn't Officer Sato worry about this kind of thing? He just wanted to know what Toyama Tobi asked him to do today. So Toyama Tobi described to Takagi Shigeru the scene he had just seen near the beaker pier. When he spoke, he was so indignant, and he kept talking about being irreconcilable with evil. After hearing the end, Toyama Tobi's three subordinates lowered their heads and nodded in agreement. The reason they didn't look up was mainly because they were afraid that Takagi Shigeru would see the laughter in their eyes. Let me tell you a joke. The subordinate that Jin values most in the black organization is actually a person who is irreconcilable with evil. This person even planned to lead people to rob a mail truck an hour ago. Well, everyone in this society wears so many masks, right? Exclamation mark. Even I don't know which one is the real me, right? Exclamation mark. You mean the gang that robbed the Bikacho mail truck is in the apartment right in front of us? Takagi Shigeru was horrified, staring at Toyama Tobi with wide eyes. "Ah, yes, what's the matter?" Toyama Tobi said confidently. He was a little curious about why Takagi reacted so strongly. It was very simple, because before Takagi left the investigation division 1, the post office had already called the police, and some police officers from the investigation division 1 went to the scene to investigate the case. Originally, Takagi felt a little sorry that he might have missed a major operation of the investigation division 1. Unexpectedly, Toyama Tobi's phone call directly brought him to the enemy's lair. What did the post office say when he called the police later? There were about 10 members of the gang that robbed the mail truck. How could they possibly deal with so many people? Seeing Takagi's hesitation, Toyama Tobi put his arm around his shoulders and said, "Officer Takagi, even though they have a lot of people, they don't have any decent weapons. You are a detective with a gun. What are you afraid of at this time? Besides, don't we still have you?" Toyama Tobi would definitely not let Takagi call for support from the Metropolitan Police Department. Once too many police officers come, Toyama Tobi may not be able to get what he wants. If they can't get what they want, then wouldn't their efforts today be in vain? So Toyama Tobi had to work hard to fool Takagi. Fortunately, Takagi is a good guy, which means that Takagi is not good at rejecting others. Not to mention that Takagi really thought about it after Toyama Tobi finished speaking. There were only 5 bullets in his gun for about 10 enemies. Takagi didn't think he could control so many gangsters at the same time with 5 bullets. Seeing that guns could not bring enough sense of security to Takagi Shigeru, Toyama Tobi could only use his own record and Officer Sato's expectations to take a two-pronged approach. It should be Officer Sato's expectation that played a major role. After Toyama Tobi's earnest persuasion, Takagi Wataru finally nodded and agreed to act now. So the group, led by Takagi holding a gun, began to explore the apartment. Takagi, who was leading the group, was very nervous, but Toyama Tobi and others who followed Takagi were not nervous at all. They knew what kind of opponent they were. Without guns, Toyama Tobi and others could easily kill them. Among the 4, even Miyano Akimi had received professional training from the organization. To put it bluntly, there was no rules when the gangs fought, and they all relied on their blood and courage. Toyama Tobi and others were different. They were trained to hit the vital points with every move. Now it is more about the cooperation between the police and the people, helping the police to control the situation when the number of criminals is superior. Isn't it natural to use a heavier hand at this time? At most, Takagi was scolded by Officer Mejiura afterwards. The credit of subduing a large gang of more than 10 people with a single-handed and several enthusiastic citizens is quite solid. Yuan Shinfei and his men are not policemen, so in the end, won't all the credit still fall on Gaomashi? Finally, the group arrived at the door of the criminal's apartment. Gaomu was in trouble when he saw the locked door. He really couldn't open the lock. Chapter 58 To Kill or Not to Kill. Seeing Takagi's embarrassment, Yoshitsugu stepped forward and whispered, "Officer Takagi, I can open the lock, how about letting me try?" Takagi quickly stepped aside and said gratefully, "Okay, thank you." To be honest, Takagi's politeness really made Yoshitsugu a little uncomfortable. He usually avoided the police. When has he ever been treated like this in all these years, since joining the organization? In a few seconds, Yoshitsugu opened the door lock of the apartment door with a simple lock-picking tool. Looking at Yoshitsugu's neat and tidy movements, Takagi's eyes turned strange when he looked at him. "No, brother, isn't your proficiency in this skill a bit too high?" At this time, Toyama Tobi stepped out to smooth things over. This originally dreamed of becoming a detective, so he privately learned some necessary skills for a detective. Isn't that reasonable? This is quite reasonable. What ahead? Whose detective doesn't learn to open the lock first after learning reasoning? Can the detective you are talking about be a serious detective? Exclamation mark. Yuan Shinfei shrugged. He didn't know whether the detective who could open the lock was serious or not, but he knew that the current detectives were basically like this. The topic was quickly skipped. Gaomashi took a deep breath and broke into the house directly under the encouragement of Yuan Shinfei. "Don't move, raise your hands, I'm a policeman." Gaomashi rushed into the apartment and pointed his gun at everyone inside the apartment. As soon as the door was opened, a pungent sour smell filled everyone's nose. Various mails and letters were scattered all over the living room of the apartment. Many gang members looked at Gaomashi, who broke into the house with blurred eyes. Facing many gangsters who were not panicked at all, Gaomu instinctively swallowed a mouthful of saliva and then warned the gangsters in front of him again. Gaomu, who was in a state of nervous tension, suddenly felt his cheeks a little wet. He turned his head subconsciously and saw a gangster with a cut carotid artery and a dagger in his hand slowly falling to the ground. The wetness on his cheeks was the blood spurting out of the gangster's neck. The first rule of criminal police search is that when acting alone, never ignore the danger behind you. The blood on Toyama Tobi's folding knife fell to the ground, and he stepped over the body and walked to Takagi Wataru. "No need to warn them, Officer Takagi." The disgust in Toyama Tobi's eyes became even stronger. "These are all a bunch of drug addicts. They don't understand what you are saying now. Subdue them first, and then call for support." Toyama Tobi put away his folding knife and picked up a baseball bat from the ground. He covered his mouth and nose with a handkerchief and rushed into the crowd. These gangsters were all high and didn't realize what was happening at all. One by one, Toyama Tobi's hands and feet were broken, and then they were controlled by Toyama Tobi's men. After Takagi came to his senses, he immediately went to help Toyama Tobi, but his face looked a little pale, as if he was a little uncomfortable. Toyama Tobi acted decisively. If he encountered a little resistance, he would break the hands and feet and let people tie them up. If the resistance was more intense, he would hit the back of the head. The back of a person's head is actually a very dangerous area. If the person is hit by the stick, he might die. Of course, Toyama Tobi didn't care. A group of drug addicts were gone. The only things in this world that cannot be forgiven are gambling and drugs. After all the gang members on the scene were controlled, Toyama Tobi gloomily threw down the baseball bat in his hand. If it weren't for Takagi, today's place would have been a fire at best. "Officer Takagi, go call for reinforcement. These guys must have committed more than one robbery." Toyama Tobi's powerful aura made Takagi Wataru obey subconsciously. After he hurriedly left the room, Toyama Tobi said to his men, "Find all the letters from Tsukikage Island as soon as possible." The three of them were very quick, and soon the letters from Tsukikage Island were placed in front of Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi found one of the letters signed by Kijiaso and put it away, then signaled his men to put the other letters back in place. After confiscating the letter of entrustment from Asai Makoto to Malrika Goro, Toyama Tobi finally had the heart to study why these drug addicts wanted to rob the mail truck. Brother Toyama, I guess they are after the checks. Yoshitsugu handed Toyama Tobi a few checks in his hand. In fact, when Toyama Tobi asked them to come up with an action plan to rob the mail truck, Yoshitsugu also thought that Toyama Tobi was eyeing the checks that might be attached to the letters. This thing can indeed be exchanged for money from the bank, as long as the time difference is well controlled, but the risk is very high. It is even greater than robbing a bank. Besides, the situation of attaching checks to letters is accidental. It is possible that there are 10 such letters in this mail truck. It is also possible that no one put checks in their hearts on this mail truck. It is purely a blind box behavior. Yoshitsugu originally planned to remind Toyama Tobi implicitly after the action was successful, but now it seems that brother Toyama's target is not these checks. Put the checks away and hand them over to the police later. After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he turned his head and stared at the many drug addicts on the ground, who were not dead yet. He was considering whether to kill these drug addicts now. The reason was simple. The washing powder of Uing Island was sold to Tokyo, which meant that there were Uing Island subordinates in Tokyo. The appearance of this group of drug addicts meant that this group of people must be more than just taking drugs. Yuan Shenfei suspected that this group of people was selling drugs to support their addiction. This also meant that this group of drug addicts was likely to be the subordinates of Uing Island's subordinates in Tokyo, or the subordinates of the subordinates. Anyway, there were only a few companies selling goods in Tokyo, and in the end it would always be Uing Island. Their appearance greatly disrupted Yuan Shenfei's plan for Uing Island. Yuan Shenfei didn't have much time left, and this group of drug addicts would definitely not be able to withstand the interrogation of the Metropolitan Police Department. There were only two choices left for Yuan Shenfei: either kill all the drug addicts here, or start the Uing Island operation in advance. Yuan Shenfei quickly gave up the initial idea of killing them. If they were all killed now, even if Yuan Shenfei was the flower of the Metropolitan Police Department, it would be hard to explain. A business that loses money cannot be done. So Toyama Tobi was left with only one option. Toyama, I'm back. Nothing happened, right? Takagi ran back breathlessly and asked Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi came back to his senses, put away the murderous intent in his eyes, and smiled at Takagi. Don't worry, Officer Takagi, nothing will happen. The support from the Metropolitan Police Department will be here soon. Takagi Wataru walked in front of Toyama Tobi and bowed solemnly. Thanks to you for saving my life just now. Toyama Tobi helped Takagi up and patted him on the back. Let's not talk about that. We are friends, aren't we? I can't just stand by and watch someone die in that situation. Takagi kept nodding and said solemnly, don't worry, I will take care of this matter. There will be no problem. Hahaha, then I'll leave it to you, Officer Takagi. Toyama Tobi smiled like a sunny and cheerful big boy. It was completely impossible to tell that he had just thought of silencing almost all the captives in the room. Chapter 59. Fight first, ask later. Just as Toyama Tobi thought, this group of high-spirited gangsters didn't last long in the interrogation room. Soon their superiors were found out, and the Metropolitan Police Department launched a large-scale operation against the superiors of this group of gangsters. When the Metropolitan Police Department launched the arrest operation against the superiors of the gangsters, Toyama Tobi had already brought his 3 men to Tsukikage Island. Tsukikage Island is now preparing for the anniversary ceremony for the former village chief, while holding the election for the new village chief. It's so lively. Of course, this liveliness has little to do with Toyama Tobi. Tsukikage Island is a small village. The advantage of a small place is that it is not difficult for Toyama Tobi to find people on the island, even without the guidance of local people. Tsukikage Island. Nishimoto House. Nishimoto Ken is the childhood playmate of the current village chief of Tsukikage Island, Kuroiwa Tatsuji, and was once quite powerful on the island. But after the death of the former village chief, Nishimoto Ken's temperament changed drastically, and he became less talkative, and the whole person looked nervous. When Ken Nishimoto was powerful, many villagers on the island were vying to curry favor with him. But since his temperament changed drastically, and he became neurotic, The mansion that was once crowded with people gradually became deserted. The villagers were even afraid that Ken Nishimoto's madness would spread and took the initiative to avoid his house. This greatly facilitated Toyama Tobi's actions. At this moment, Ken Nishimoto was hanging on the beam of his house, and Toyama Tobi was sitting in front of him with a big sword. Behind Toyama Tobi stood Miyano Akemi and Kei Yoshitsugu, and Inoma Naruto stood beside Ken Nishimoto as the executioner. Mr. Nishimoto, what on earth gave you the courage to disrespect me like this? From the moment we entered the door until now, you are not even willing to have a good word with me. Yuanshin Tobi's eyes were full of disappointment and regret for Nishimoto Ken. Seeing that Nishimoto Ken still did not answer, he waved his hand at Inoma Naruto. Keep beating until Mr. Nishimoto is willing to talk to me. Inoma Naruto was also a simple man. After hearing Yuanshin Tobi's order, he immediately picked up the belt on the ground, gestured to the hung Nishimoto Ken twice, and prepared to start. Seeing that Inoma Naruto was about to start a new round of whipping, Nishimoto Ken, who had been gritting his teeth, finally collapsed. With a hoarse voice due to the scream just now, he shouted to Yuanshin Tobi, "What do you want to know? Ask. How can I know what to say if you don't ask me? As soon as you entered the door, you hung me on the beam and beat me without saying a word. Tell me, what exactly do you want me to say?" Didn't I ask?" Yuanshin Tobi looked at Kei Makoto behind him in confusion. Kei Yoshitsugu nodded upon hearing this. "Brother Toyama, you did not ask, but I thought this was your special interrogation technique, so I did not remind you. Judging from the current results, it seems to be quite good. A subordinate with high emotional intelligence will not let his superior fall into embarrassment, and Kei Yoshitsugu's approach is obviously a high emotional intelligence approach." Nishimoto Ken, who was hung on the beam, had eyes that were about to spit fire, and he stared at Kei Yoshitsugu behind Toyama Tobi. "Bastard. Feelings are not that you are hung up and beaten." Kei Yoshitsugu's ferocity, which belongs to drug dealers, was fully aroused by Kei Yoshitsugu. Before Nishimoto Ken could continue to think, Inoma Naruto whipped him again. "What are you doing? I'm talking to your big brother." Nishimoto Ken roared at Inoma Naruto. How could this man have no sense at all? Nishimoto Ken regretted why he built his house so far away from the village. Otherwise, based on the noise of his screams just now, it is estimated that the villagers would have come to his house to check the situation. Inoma Naruto completely ignored Nishimoto Ken's angry glare, and after Nishimoto Ken finished yelling at him, he hit Nishimoto Ken with a belt again. While hitting Nishimoto Ken with a belt, Inoma Naruto said dissatisfiedly, "You should talk to Brother Toyama. I didn't block your mouth. I can't stop until brother tells me to stop. Otherwise, if I get scolded, will you take my place?" After Inoma Naruto finished speaking, he hit Nishimoto Ken again. At this moment, Toyama Tobi looked up and met Nishimoto Ken's eyes. He was not embarrassed at all. Toyama Tobi sighed and praised, "Mr. Nishimoto, I have always known you. I believe you will not care about this little whipping. In order to ensure that we can communicate smoothly in the future, I have no choice but to do this." Brother Toyama, I'm really easy to talk to. Please tell him to stop. Don't worry, I will tell you everything you want to know. While screaming, Nishimoto Ken told Toyama Tobi that he was actually easy to talk to. "You can ask him. There is absolutely no one easier to talk to than him at this time." Hearing this, Toyama Tobi followed suit and signaled Inoma Naruto to stop. Toyama Tobi leaned forward and asked Nishimoto Ken, "I just have one question. Mr. Nishimoto, where did you save all your savings after so many years of drug trafficking?" Nishimoto Ken was stunned when he heard this. When he was hung up and beaten by Inoma Naruto, he had guessed all the questions that Toyama Tobi would ask. But he was so straightforward right from the start. It immediately made Nishimoto Ken stuck. Nishimoto Ken's hesitation fell into everyone's eyes. Toyama Tobi spread his hands to Nishimoto Ken with an expression of "Look, I'll tell you," and said, "Mr. Nishimoto, it seems that you don't intend to communicate with me properly. We need to build a deeper level of trust between us." Inoma, continue. In order to build enough trust with Nishimoto Ken, Toyama Tobi could only make Inoma Naruto work harder. This trust is definitely not something that can be built in a short time. Toyama Tobi stood up and walked towards the courtyard of Nishimoto's house. Not to mention, although Nishimoto Ken is the only resident of Nishimoto's house, the entire Nishimoto house can be called a luxury house, no matter where it is in Japan. This is true both in terms of the area and the decoration. Not long after Toyama Tobi walked out of the Nishimoto family's main house, Miyano Akemi also walked out, but her face was a little ugly. Hearing the voice, Toyama Tobi turned around and looked at Miyano Akemi's face for a while, then asked, "Why, are you not used to it? You act like a rookie. How did you survive in the organization with this performance?" Miyano Akemi did not respond to Toyama Tobi's teasing, but looked at Toyama Tobi and asked, "Why are you torturing him like this? You can just kill him directly." "Of course I can." Toyama Tobi nodded very straightforwardly, "But why should I let him go so easily? That guy is a drug dealer. Do you know what drug dealer means?" Toyama Tobi pointed to the courtyard at his feet, which was neglected, but vaguely showed its former beauty, and then pointed to the mansion, which was obviously not cheap. This guy made so much money. God knows how many people have become half human and half ghost because of him. What I did to him is not even 1,000th of his sins. It's good to have sympathy, but your sympathy is in the wrong place, Ms. Miyano. Even if your ex-boyfriend from the FBI was standing here now, he would probably agree with me. The latest movie version really made me speechless. I don't even want to complain about the love triangle between Habra AI, Conan and Maolilan. This movie version has no logic from the beginning. Conan saw a Metropolitan Police department ship at the dock, and this guy jumped on it, even though there was no case or death. He is not pretending anymore. He just became the Pacific Police. Sakurata Keharu NMSL. PS. The black organization has now developed to the point where it has its own submarines and torpedoes. It's outrageous. By the way, Jin successfully killed one of his own people in the movie this time. Now I suspect that Jin is the most hidden undercover. Big Brother is really a fucking professional in weakening his own people. Chapter 60. Rich. You'll have money as soon as you take office. You know about me? Miyano Akemi was shocked. Seeing Miyano Akemi's performance, Toyama Tobi laughed out loud. "Do you think I don't know about you? Don't be so naive, Miss Miyano. There is no secret for the superiors of the organization for peripheral members like you. For example, your recent restlessness has long been noticed by Brother Jin." Toyama Tobi didn't mind revealing some insignificant information to Miyano Akemi, "Although I don't know why Brother Jin didn't clean you up directly as usual, but sent you here for me to keep an eye on you. But there is no doubt that your every move is in the eyes of the organization." After saying these words, Toyama Tobi noticed that Miyano Akemi stood stiffly in place. This behavior made Toyama Tobi secretly astonished. Could this sister really think that no one had ever noticed her little actions? No way, no way! Exclamation mark. Could anyone really be so naive? But thinking about Miyano Akemi's later behavior, Toyama Tobi felt that his speculation did not seem impossible. There is no such character as himself in the original work. Maybe at that time, although Jin noticed that Miyano Akemi was not content, he did not have the right people to deal with it, so he simply followed the trend to see what Miyano Akemi wanted to do. But he did not expect that Miyano Akemi actually wanted to leave the organization with her sister. This undoubtedly violated Jin's taboo. You must know that Shuchiake successfully escaped from the organization, but he did not die. If Shuchiake returns to Japan one day, Miyano Akemi, who wants to leave the organization with her sister, will be a clear prospective traitor. When Miyano Akemi told Jin that she wanted to quit, her final outcome was doomed. Ignoring the dumbfounded Miyano Akemi in front of him, Toyama Tobi shook his head and walked towards Nishimoto's house. When passing by Miyano Akemi, Toyama Tobi whispered, "Even if you want to do me a favor, don't do it under my men. I'm not like Brother Jin, who likes to clean up his men on time." As he said that, Toyama Tobi walked up the stairs. As soon as he reached the door opened and revealed Kamakoto's honest face. "Brother Toyama, Nishimoto Ken has confessed everything." "Oh, really? Take me to see it." Back in the temporary interrogation room, Toyama Tobi looked at the list that Nishimoto Ken had just listed in his hand. It was said that all his property was on it. You've been selling drugs for so many fucking years, and this is all you've saved? Toyama Tobi looked at the last number on the list and said to Nishimoto Ken with dissatisfaction, "It seems you still don't trust me. Hang him up again, Anuma." Before Anuma Naruto could get closer, Nishimoto Ken, who had learned his lesson, shouted directly to Toyama Tobi, "I have money, I have money, I have money." After giving Anuma Naruto a look, Nishimoto Ken, who was half hung, returned to the ground again. Toyama Tobi squatted in front of him and raised his eyebrows. "How much money do you have left?" Nishimoto Ken took 2 deep breaths and said intermittently, "I haven't been in this business for 2 years. These are all I saved in the past, and I spend money lavishly, so these are really all I have left." "You're fucking lying to brother Toyama." Anuma Naruto pulled up the rope that passed through the beam and was about to hang Nishimoto Ken up again. "I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I can get the money." "How?" The current village chief Kuroiwa Tatsuji and his secretary Hirata Kazuaki, the village's richest man Kawashima Hideo are all my accomplices. I have an account book here, which was left when I worked with them before. I can use the account book to ask them for money. Toyama Tobi approached Nishimoto Ken. "How much money can I get?" "At least 300 million yen. Nishimoto Ken was hysterical. "How long?" "A week. I have to wait for you for another week." Toyama Tobi grabbed the rope and tied a knot around Nishimoto Ken's neck. That meant that, if he didn't answer well, he would be hanged on the beam. 3 days. 2 days at the fastest. "I know them. They can't get that much cash. Brother came all the way from Tokyo, just for your 18 million. It's not worth it, right?" Toyama Tobi began to persuade him. "Not worth it." Nishimoto Ken shook his head repeatedly. "There are so many people on this island dealing drugs, but you are the only one. Isn't that unfair?" "Not fair." "Well, where do you keep your account book?" Don't tell me." With a look from Toyama Tobi, the rope around Nishimoto Ken's neck slowly tightened. "In the study upstairs." "Where in the study?" "There is a secret compartment behind the bookshelf in the corner of the study, and the account book is in the secret compartment." After Nishimoto Ken played his last trump card, Toyama Tobi finally showed a friendly smile. "Mr. Nishimoto, it seems that we have finally established a deep enough trust." After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he walked towards the study on the 2nd floor. Just when Nishimoto Ken thought he had escaped, the rope around his neck suddenly tightened. A strong feeling of suffocation instantly swept his brain. When Toyama Tobi returned downstairs with the account book, Nishimoto Ken, who was supposed to go to Echen to be a lawyer, had died quietly in his own home. Makoto walked up to Toyama Tobi and asked what to do with Nishimoto Ken's body. Toyama Tobi looked around and said with regret, "Let's go. It's dry here and might cause a fire." Makoto felt a humid sea breeze blowing in from the window and agreed, "Yes, Toyama is right." Not long after the four left Nishimoto's house, a flame shot up into the sky, and the whole Moon Shadow Island could see the thick black smoke coming out of Nishimoto's house. Just like the night of the full moon 12 years ago, Nishimoto Ken and Asokiji were buried in the sea of fire. Of course, Nishimoto Ken and Asokiji are still different. Unlike these beasts, Toyama Tobi can't do the cruel act of burning people alive in the house. So Nishimoto Ken belongs to the category of dying first and then burning, and the main theme is a humanitarian concern. The fire at Nishimoto's house disrupted the plans of many people. Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo stared at the fire with ugly faces, and they recalled the night of the full moon 12 years ago. In the crowd, Makoto looked at the blazing fire in Nishimoto's house with a complicated heart. 2 of the 4 enemies who killed his father were gone. Perhaps this was God's punishment. But there were still 2 enemies left. He looked at their backs with hatred. Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo stared at the fire without noticing. Tomorrow is the anniversary of the former village chief Kamiya Muraisamu, and it is also the 12th full moon night after his father's death. His letter of entrustment fell into the sea after it was sent out. It seems that revenge on them is also God's guidance to him. Makoto made up his mind and returned to the clinic. Nishimoto Ken's death required him to make some changes to his revenge plan. Tomorrow is the full moon night, and Makoto doesn't have much time left. Chapter 61. Are you guys playing this game? Makoto slept very late, or should I say very early? The revenge plan affected the whole body, and in order to revise and perfect his plan, he worked at his desk until dawn. Finally, Makoto, who was ready to rest and have a good sleep, was awakened by a series of rapid knocks on the door. I'm coming, I'm coming. Makoto lives upstairs from the clinic. The downstairs is a clinic and the upstairs is a residence. It is quite convenient to go to and from get off work, but sometimes it is more convenient to work overtime. Fortunately, Tsukikage Island is a small place, and there is only one doctor, Makoto, who can handle it. Of course, a small clinic means limited medical resources, and if there is any serious illness, you still have to go to Tokyo for treatment. In recent years, the biggest job Makoto has taken on the island is to perform an autopsy on the former village chief. This sounds very funny, because the former village chief of Tsukikage Island was scared to death by Makoto. Originally, the former village chief Kamiyama Yang brought Makoto to the community center to do something bad. The result was developed according to the plot in the short film, but just when they were about to fight, Kamiyama Yang found that the gun Makoto pulled out was actually bigger than his. That would have been fine, but Makoto confronted him on the spot, saying that this doctor who looked good looking was not even named Issei. Or rather, he was not named Issei before. Makoto, this was his previous name. Kamiyama Yang, who had a bad heart, was scared to death on the spot, and after telling the truth of the year, he lost the remaining half of his life. In the end, the autopsy was also done by Makoto. The main point is to produce and sell by oneself, so it would be strange if there was any problem. When he came to the clinic downstairs, Makoto opened the door and found that the person knocking on the door frantically was Hirota Kazuaki, the secretary of the current village chief Kuroiwa Tatsuji. Kuroiwa Tatsuji was also one of the enemies who killed his father. When he saw his secretary Makoto, he was a little dazed for a while. Dr. Issei, Dr. Issei. Hirota Kazuaki, who was anxious, found that Makoto was in a daze, so he waved his hand to attract his attention. Makoto, who was awakened by Hirota Kazuaki, bowed slightly to express his apology. I'm sorry, Secretary Hirota. I didn't get enough rest yesterday. Did something happen? Makoto didn't want to dwell on the topic of not getting enough rest, so he asked Hirota Kazuaki why he came. Yes, Dr. Issei is in trouble. Please come with me. Do you need me to bring a first aid kit? Hirota Kazuaki came to see him, a doctor, so anxious. Makoto's first reaction was whether someone in the Kuroiwa family had an acute illness. Makoto was also guessing, could it be that Kuroiwa Tatsuji also suddenly fell ill overnight? His revenge plan had to be modified temporarily again. Makoto felt a little strange at the moment, because revenge should be a hearty thing. Even if it's not hearty, at least it should be a sense of loss, right? What the hell is this kind of suffering that seems to require the plan to be modified overnight? Why is my revenge experience so different from others? Makoto, who was about to go back to the clinic to get the first aid kit, was stopped. Hirota Kazuaki shook his head with a complicated expression. It should be useless, Dr. Issei. You will know the specific situation after you finish reading it. Makoto nodded in confusion and followed Hirota Kazuaki. Makoto, who has lived on the island for several years, recognized their route. This is the road leading to the community center. Secretary Hirota, are we going to the community center? Hirota Kazuaki nodded. Yes, we are here. Hirota Kazuaki said that the two of them just came to the entrance of the community center. The entrance was now crowded with villagers from Uaing Island. These villagers had strange expressions, just like Hirota Kazuaki just now. Makoto's doubts in his heart became even more. What on earth was going on? Seeing Makoto's arrival, the villagers who were responsible for watching made way for him and followed Hirota Kazuaki into the cursed piano room of the community center. Makoto was amazed. This eye-opening was literally eye-opening. Because of the shock of the scene in front of him, Makoto's eyes were wide open. What is going on? Makoto pointed at the absurd scene in front of him and asked Hirota Kazuaki. Hirota Kazuaki's face was full of indescribable meaning. I really don't know. To be honest, I have been the secretary of Kuroiwa village chief for so many years, and this is really the first time I have seen such a scene. Issei Makoto is now in the piano room of the Tsukikage Island Community Hall. In the past, few people came here because of some legendary curses. The piano that Kijiaso once played was placed in the center of the piano room. But now the piano that should have been placed in the center has been pushed to the corner and replaced by the body of Kawashima Hideo, the richest man in Tsukikage Island, who was disheveled and covered with whip marks. Of course, if there was only Kawashima Hideo's body, no one would be so out of control. The main thing is that there is another body lying on Kawashima Hideo's body. It is the body of the current village chief Kuroiwa Tatsuji. There were no marks of whipping or beating on Kuroiwa Tatsuji's body, and the most important thing was that he was holding a belt that matched the marks on Kawashima Hideo's body. This. With such an impactful design and a scene rich in information, anyone with basic logical reasoning ability and a little experience can deduce what happened here last night. This village chief and the richest man in the village are really playing tricks. After breaking free from such a shocking scene, Issei Makoto suddenly realized the last two enemies who killed his father in his revenge plan. They died so funny. Although Issei Makoto wore women's clothes and walked on Uing Island as a girl, but he still likes women. I can only not understand this scene, but I'm shocked. Issei Makoto turned his head and looked at Hirota Kazuaki, which means that you brought me here early in the morning, not for me to see such an eye-catching scene, right? Hirota Kazuaki reacted immediately. It's like this. Although the village chief and Mr. Kawashima are close friends on weekdays, as far as I know, there should be no such relationship. I would like to ask Dr. Issei to take a look. Is it an accident or murder? Issei Makoto seemed a little embarrassed. Shouldn't this matter be judged by the police? Issei Makoto really didn't want to deal with these two ugly and playful enemies who killed his father. Issei Makoto naturally had no psychological burden to call the police. Although Hirota Kazuaki expressed his understanding, he still persuaded Issei Makoto. Yes, I have called the police, but the detectives from the Metropolitan Police Department said that they would arrive on the island at noon. If the village chief and Mr. Kawashima really didn't die in an accident, I'm afraid the murderer will take advantage of this time difference to destroy the evidence. Although Hirota Kazuaki said it in a high-sounding manner, he was actually the one who had the most thoughts among all the people present. Finally, he succeeded in persuading Issei Makoto to agree to perform autopsies on Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo, and Hirota Kazuaki immediately ran to notify the families of both parties. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Justice Walker Jin. Hirota Kazuaki's notification to the family was fake. The main reason was that he needed someone to help hold the families of both parties together, so that he could do some small things in private before the police arrived. The deaths of Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo were strange and funny. It was a foregone conclusion that the Metropolitan Police Department's detectives would go to the island to investigate. In addition, the call to the police was not made by Hirota Kazuaki, but by the village chief candidate Kuroiwa Tatsuji. The candidate named Shimizuma Sato was also lucky enough. Among the three candidates who originally ran for village chief, his chance of being elected village chief was the smallest. As a result, overnight, the other two candidates were found dead in one place and died in such an undignified way. Whether it was simply to clear his suspicion or to let the villagers see the true face of the other candidates, Shimizuma Sato had to take the initiative to call the police, let the Metropolitan Police Department, a third party, join in and make things worse. When Issei Makoto arrived at the community center, there were so many villagers from Tsukikage Island standing outside the door, and a large part of them were the work of Shimizuma Sato. Hirota Kazuaki, the drug dealer, certainly doesn't want the police to get involved in the incident on Tsukikage Island. However, the detective's arrival on the island is a foregone conclusion, so he can only try to destroy some evidence of the Kuroiwa family and the Kawashima family before the police arrive. At least he has to fool the police who arrive on the island. Fortunately, Hirota Kazuaki was originally the secretary of the former village chief, and he would not be suspected whether he appeared at the Kuroiwa family or the Kawashima family at this time. as long as he can find a way to transfer the family members of the two families away from their residences. Hirota Kazuaki has 100 ways to deal with the servants in the mansion. Is it really okay for us to do this? On the speedboat, Miyano Akemi looked back from time to time at the vague outline of Tsukikage Island behind her. After interrogating and silencing Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideya all night last night, Toyama Tobi had no intention of taking the ferry to leave the island on Tsukikage Island. The death of the village chief and the richest man on the island will definitely make the ferry staff pay special attention to outsiders like them. Toyama Tobi contacted Vodka and asked the organization for a boat to pick them up. In the morning, Toyama Tobi and others waited in the distance until the body in the community hall was discovered and caused a commotion, and then left in the chaos. Hearing Miyano Akemi's words, Toyama Tobi turned around and looked at her. What do you mean? Hirota Kazuaki, the secretary of the former village chief, isn't he also a drug dealer? If we leave like this, won't Hirota Kazuaki eliminate the evidence of drug trafficking by these people on the island? Good guy, Toyama Tobi called out in his heart. Originally, when he heard Miyano Akemi's question, Toyama Tobi thought that this sister was full of saintly heart and sympathized with that nest of drug dealers. Unexpectedly, Miyano Akemi was possessed by the living devil, reminding herself that she didn't kill all the mouths. Toyama Tobi smacked his lips, and he suddenly realized that his original impression of Miyano Akemi was just the impression left by the brief description in the original work. Miyano Akemi is now a living, three-dimensional person. It is undoubtedly unfair to characterize a person based on those one-sided portrayals. Thinking of this, Toyama Tobi was in a good mood. Isn't this world interesting because of the unknown development? The bow of the ship. Toyama Tobi laughed loudly and said to Miyano Akemi, who was feeling puzzled, "Don't worry, these people have been selling drugs on Uing Island for so many years. How could they clean up all the traces in just a few hours? Unless that guy Hirota and Akira can set fire to the houses of both families." At this moment, Toyama Tobi thought of the man they saw from afar, Issei Makoto, who really had no masculine characteristics and had perfect camouflage skills. I left a little gift for an Avenger on the island. To be honest, we got his target first. Revenge is naturally the most satisfying thing to do by hand. Don't worry, Secretary Hirota can't get away. After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he began to quietly count the gains of this trip to Uing Island. These gains include, but are not limited to, the check attached to the letter of entrustment sent by Issei Makoto to Maurika Goro before going to the island, the little savings left by Nishimoto Ken after squandering for 2 years the entire fortune of Kawashima Hideya, the richest man on Tsukikage Island, which he has been operating for many years, including various movable and immovable properties he has purchased, the payment for goods that the village chief and the current leader of the Tsukikage Island gang, Kuroiwa Tatsuji, has just recovered and has not had time to spend. Among these assets that can have a direct relationship with these people, Toyama Tobi will not pass them through his hands, and he will directly hand them over to the organization. The organization naturally has special departments and members responsible for handling these shady assets. They will launder the money and then invest it in the operation of the organization and the great scientific research cause that promotes the development and progress of all mankind. If you calculate it this way, Miyano Shiho's current scientific research funds also have a contribution from Toyama Tobi. However, Toyama Tobi can freely dispose of some assets such as cash and investment gold that are difficult to trace. Toyama Tobi will leave some shares of these assets for gin and vodka, and then keep a part for himself. The remaining small part will be divided among 3 of his 3 subordinates. A sleepless night of high-intensity work deserves such a generous reward. Miyano Akemi's reminder just now also made Toyama Tobi decide to treat her equally. At least this sister didn't tell him that she wanted to quit the organization. Toyama Tobi was also happy to pretend that he didn't know. At Tsukikage Island Clinic, the 2 bodies in the community center were sent to the clinic by the villagers, and Issei Makoto began to perform autopsies on the 2 bodies with ease. Originally, Issei Makoto also thought that the death of the 2 murderers of his father was an accident, but when he performed autopsies on the bodies, he found that the cause of death of the 2 people was actually mechanical asphyxiation. Kawashima Hidea's death may be due to the improper operation of Kuroiwa Tatsuji, who accidentally strangled him. This kind of death occasionally appears in some niche intense sports without setting a safe word. But Kuroiwa Tatsuji couldn't strangle himself to death in the community center out of thin air, right? Someone killed his father's murderer before him? Exclamation mark. After getting the autopsy results, Issei Makoto was a little unbelievable. Who was helping him to avenge? When Makoto Issei was performing an autopsy, the Metropolitan Police Department's detectives had already arrived on the island and sent people to wait for Makoto Issei's autopsy report at the clinic. As soon as he got the autopsy report, Makoto Issei was called by the detective to understand the body. It was 2 hours later when he returned to the clinic. Makoto Issei, who returned to the clinic, closed the door of the clinic, hung up a sign saying that the doctor was out, and returned to his room on the second floor. All this happened too suddenly, and Makoto Issei wanted to calm down alone. As soon as he walked into his room, Makoto Issei's body tensed up, and he became nervous instantly. Because on the empty desk next to his bed, there was an account book and a piece of paper placed abruptly. After confirming that there was no one in the room, Makoto Issei walked slowly to the desk, looked over the account book on the table, and looked at the conspicuous piece of paper. The hands of doctors and pianists should not be stained with the blood of sin. Justice Walker Jin. That's right, doing good deeds without leaving a name has never been the style of Toyama Tobi. This time he chose to do good deeds for his elder brother in this way without hesitation. Of course, it is not impossible to interpret this note in another way, such as, the murderer is Tokyo Jin. Right square bracket. Chapter 63. What a fool who walks into a trap. Hearing that the Metropolitan Police Department's detectives had arrived on the island, Hirota Kazuaki left the Kuroiwa family and rushed to the village office as soon as possible. In the hours before the detectives arrived, Hirota Kazuaki had cleaned up the evidence of selling drugs in the Kawashima family and the Kuroiwa family. Of course, the Tsukikachi Island drug trafficking gang has existed for so many years, and it is impossible and unrealistic to completely wipe out all traces. But Hirota Kazuaki at least dealt with everything that could be linked to drug dealers in the two families. In fact, Hirota Kazuaki didn't have to go through so much trouble. Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo are the two main leaders of the Tsukikachi Island drug trafficking gang, and are also the main members of the gang. Their deaths are destined to cause the gang to fall apart. At this time, Hirota Kazuaki only needs to clear himself completely, even if the Metropolitan Police Department's detectives really find out something wrong. He can stay out of it. But Hirota Kazuaki is greedy. The death of the gang leaders Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo made him realize that this is a once-in-a-century opportunity. If these two people are not dead, even if Hirota Kazuaki works hard, he will only be a small fry in the gang in the end. The village chief and the richest man are like two mountains pressing down on Hirota Kazuaki, blocking his way up. Although he doesn't know which kind-hearted person has helped him move the two mountains, it doesn't prevent Hirota Kazuaki from doing things he wanted to do, but didn't dare to do before. He wants to reorganize the Yuang Island drug trafficking gang. As the secretary of the village chief, Hirota Kazuaki knows the purchase and sales channels of the Yuang Island gang very well. Sometimes he even deducts some from batches of goods as his kickbacks. Whenever the goods in his hands accumulate to a certain amount, Hirota Kazuaki will ship them out. This is also a little benefit for being the secretary of the village chief. Now Hirota Kazuaki is ready to wait until the limelight passes, and then he will become bigger and stronger, and create glory again. Thanks again to the unknown messenger of justice. Drug dealers like Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo should accept this kind of justice. The other villagers on the island thought that the village chief and the richest man died in an accident, but Hirota Kazuaki firmly believed that the two men were killed. Of course, none of this is important. The important thing is that Hirota Kazuaki now has to find a way to fool the police from Tokyo. Hirota Kazuaki said that it was easy to fool the police from the Metropolitan Police Department. If these police were really useful, their Yuang Island drug trafficking gang would not have been able to transport goods to Tokyo safely for so many years. When they arrived at the village office, Hirota Kazuaki asked the staff for information. The criminal police force was in the reception room to understand the situation from the family members. Hirota Kazuaki came to the reception room and knocked on the door. After getting permission, he walked in. "Who are you?" "I'm Hirota Kazuaki, the secretary of the village chief, Mr. Kuroiwa. I heard that the police officers came to the island and I came to see if I could help." The leader of the team was Officer Mejiya of the investigation division. With his frequency of appearance, he can be regarded as a model worker of the investigation division. After hearing Hirota Kazuaki introduce himself, Officer Mejiya exchanged a strange look with his men in the room. Then, Officer Mejiya showed a grateful expression and greeted Hirota Kazuaki. "Mr. Hirota, you are really a great help to us by coming here. Just now, my colleague got the autopsy reports of Mr. Kuroiwa and Mr. Kawashima from Dr. Asai. It can only be said that they are most likely not killed by accident." Officer Mejiya walked up to Hirota Kazuaki and stretched out his hand as if he was ready to shake hands. Hirota Kazuaki nodded repeatedly when he heard what Officer Mejiya said and said as if he had known it for a long time, "Yes, in fact, I felt something was wrong the first time I saw the scene. That's why I begged Dr. Asai to help with the autopsy of the village chief. Officer Mejiya, please find out the truth and clear our village chief's name." Hirota Kazuaki was more and more moved as he spoke, and he was even more proud of his wit in the morning. He was not much of a suspect to begin with, but after this performance, how could anyone doubt him? Hirota Kazuaki saw Officer Mejiya from Tokyo ready to shake hands with him, and hurriedly stretched out his hands to show his humility. Unexpectedly, just as Hirota Kazuaki stretched out his hands, two plainclothes detectives from the first investigation section passed over Officer Mejiya and controlled the confused Hirota Kazuaki. Although both of Hirota Kazuaki's wrists were handcuffed, he still couldn't understand why these policemen handcuffed him. "Officer Mejiya, this is probably a misunderstanding." Although Hirota Kazuaki was a little confused, he was not panicked at all, because the death of the village chief and the richest man really had nothing to do with him. At this moment, Hirota Kazuaki believed in the police's ability to handle the case and could give him a clear name. Of course, he still needed to emphasize, the death of Kuroiwa village chief and Mr. Kawashima really has nothing to do with me. You handcuffed me so carelessly, aren't you afraid that I will complain to the Metropolitan Police Department? Hirota Kazuaki, who originally emphasized his innocence, didn't ask these policemen to loosen his handcuffs. At least some guilty expression should be seen on their faces. But who would have thought that Hirota Kazuaki would read the expression of looking at a fool in Officer Mejiya's eyes? "Huh. You are Mr. Hirota Kazuaki, the secretary of Kuroiwa village chief, right?" "Yes, I am." "That's right, we are arresting you." Officer Mejiya finally checked the identity with Hirota Kazuaki and said firmly, "We are not looking for you because of the murder case in the community center, but because of the drug transportation and drug trafficking activities you have been carrying out. I'm here to formally inform you, Mr. Hirota, you are arrested." After saying these words, Officer Mejiya even looked up and down at Hirota Kazuaki in front of him. To be honest, in all his years as a police officer, this is the first time he has seen such an unwary drug dealer like Hirota Kazuaki. This is of course a good thing for them, the detectives, to be able to arrest an important member of the drug trafficking gang without taking risks. Officer Mejiya recalled the contents of the account book given to him by the doctor named Issei Makoto. It seems that among the members of the entire Tsukikage Island drug trafficking gang, only Hirota Kazuaki is still a member of considerable weight. Of course, the arrest of Hirota Kazuaki does not mean that everything will be fine for Inspector Mejiya and his team. They at least need to determine whether the families of Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo are involved in their drug trafficking activities. Otherwise, if they just walk away, it will be difficult to arrest them. Fortunately, they now have Hirota Kazuaki, an internal member of the gang. Outside the village office, Kuroiwa Ryoko, also known as Kuroiwa Tatsuji, unexpectedly received a call from the bank. The content of the call was very clear, just to inform Kuroiwa Ryoko that her credit card was due and needed to be repaid. This call made Kuroiwa Ryoko very irritated. In the past, her credit card repayment matters were handled by her father's secretary Hirota Kazuaki. Now that her father has just died not long ago, Hirota Kazuaki's attitude towards her seems to have shown signs of neglect. It's true that people are cold when they leave. Kuroiwa Ryoko muttered dissatisfiedly. Chapter 64 Vodka Human Second-hand Smoke Purifier. Every little princess who is willing to show her princess syndrome will definitely have at least one liquor around her. Murasawa Shuchi is Kuroiwa Ryoko's liquor. Unlike other liquors, Murasawa Shuchi is more resourceful, so he became Kuroiwa Ryoko's fiancé. For Murasawa Shuchi, Kuroiwa Ryoko has nothing bad to say except her temper. She looks good and has a great figure. As long as you say a few nice words, she is easy to fool. The most important thing is that her father is rich, very rich. For a gigolo who is with a rich woman, Kuroiwa Ryoko is simply a high quality stock among high quality stocks. That is the best target that comes once in a century. As an excellent gigolo, Murasawa Shuchi knows that, since he can't make any achievements in the economic field, then at least he must give in the emotional value. Seeing that Kuroiwa Ryoko was very unhappy, Murasawa Shuchi immediately put his arm around Kuroiwa Ryoko's waist. "What's the matter, darling?" Kuroiwa Ryoko told him about the credit card, but Murasawa Shuchi didn't take it seriously at all. In fact, the death of Kuroiwa Tatsuji is good news for Murasawa Shuchi. Fooling Kuroiwa Ryoko and fooling her father are two completely different levels of difficulty. In the past, Murasawa Shuchi could only be regarded as trembling with fear and treading on thin ice, and he would not be considered victorious until the moment of marriage. Now, victory is within reach for him. After a series of sweet words that others find annoying, Murasawa Shuchi successfully made Kuroiwa Ryoko forget the unpleasantness brought to her by the bank's phone call just now. Of course, looking at Kuroiwa Ryoko's morning, she probably didn't remember that her father had just died not long ago. Murasawa Shuchi struck while the iron was hot. "When we are done today, we will take back the property of my uncle from Secretary Hirata. At that time, I will take care of these small things in life for you. Although I may not be more thoughtful than Secretary Hirata, at least I can be more considerate than him. Oh, darling, you are so nice." At Bika Pier, Toyama Tobi and his 3 men set foot on the land of Bika Town again. The long-lost smell of sin once again lingered in Toyama Tobi's nose. When Toyama Tobi came to the shore, he looked around and saw the familiar Porsche 356A not far away. Toyama Tobi nodded in the direction of the Porsche and then said to Miyano Akimi, who was carrying a briefcase behind him, "Here is your field allowance for this time, one for each person, and you can divide it among yourselves later. I will send you an email in advance when there is a mission next time. Keep a low profile when there is no mission, and don't fall into the hands of the police." The most satisfying thing about the vodka distributed to Toyama Tobi's 3 subordinates is that these people will not easily cause trouble. Although Inominayodoto is a little reckless and a little naive, he is obedient. Toyama Tobi really keeps a low profile when asked to do so. Not to mention Kamakoto, the old man, who has been a peripheral member of the organization for so many years. He has never been caught by the police. As for Miyano Akimi's sister's awareness, let alone, does she understand the value of her ex-boyfriend being an FBI undercover? Having 3 worry-free subordinates means that Toyama Tobi doesn't have to worry about being implicated by his subordinates. The income from this robbery can allow the 3 of them to live freely in the big city of Tokyo for a while. It was the first time that the 3 of them heard such serious words from the members of the organization. Shouldn't this be a division of the spoils? Wait, brother Toyama, Miyano Akimi hurriedly stopped Toyama Tobi. Although he and Toyama Tobi had concocted several drug dealers together, Miyano Akimi still couldn't share the spoils with them calmly. Toyama Tobi interrupted what Miyano Akimi hadn't finished saying. He naturally knew what Miyano Akimi wanted to say. "Miyano, you have to know that only after taking this money can we be considered our own people. I have limited manpower, and I don't want one of my already tense subordinates to keep an eye on you. The 2 of them probably don't want to be arranged to be followed 24 hours a day during their rest time, which is a bad job." Toyama Tobi's words made Miyano Akimi subconsciously look at the 2 temporary teammates beside him. She found that both Kayoshitsugu and Inominayudo were staring at her without blinking. Although Miyano Akimi was also a member of the organization's peripheral members in the past, to be honest, apart from participating in the organization's professional skills training, Miyano Akimi's understanding of the organization's members was limited to some peripheral members' gossip. Thanks to Miyano Shaho's position in the organization, Miyano Akemi did not need to be promoted or killed, like other peripheral members. But even if she introduced an FBI undercover like Akeshuchi into the organization, she did not let Jin clean her up afterwards. This also means that Miyano Akemi really doesn't know much about the organization's secrets. Or in other words, her understanding of the organization is actually quite limited. Otherwise, why would Akeshuchi risk his life to join the organization? With Miyano Akemi's love brain, what can Akeshuchi ask her without telling her? Until this time, Miyano Akemi personally participated in the organization's mission and saw Toyama Tobi with a dagger hidden in his smile. He spoke kindly in the previous second and asked someone to kill him in the next second. Kyoshitsugu looks honest, but his means are so cruel that it is shocking. On the contrary, Anuma Naruto is consistent in appearance and heart. He looks like a bad guy at first glance, and this is actually the case. None of the three people take human life seriously. Killing a person is not much more difficult than drinking a sip of water. Only then did Miyano Akemi deeply realize the value of the four words members of the organization. Joining the organization is not playing house, nor is it a dinner party. At this time, the two companions staring at each other made Miyano Akemi feel goosebumps all over. This is no wonder. We are all people on the same boat. Now you suddenly wear a life jacket and say you want to get off the boat. Who knows if you are going to sink the boat after getting off? Facing everyone's gaze, Miyano Akemi said with difficulty, "Okay, brother Toyama, I understand." Seeing that Miyano Akemi really understood, Toyama Tobi nodded. "It's good that you understand. Don't make it difficult for everyone." Toyama Tobi handed one of the briefcases in his hand to Vodka. After the two sides exchanged a tacit look, Toyama Tobi personally carried the two briefcases and walked towards the Porsche. Next to the Porsche was Toyama Tobi's Aston Martin. Toyama Tobi first put one of the briefcases in his hand on the back seat of the Porsche. Then he watched Vodka put the briefcase he had just handed to him on the floor of the passenger seat. Finally, he put the briefcase in his hand into his own car. Toyama Tobi walked to the passenger window, took out a pack of cigarettes, lit one for himself, and one for Jin. Looking at Jin and Toyama Tobi puffing away at the same time, Vodka suddenly felt as if he was being excluded by these two people. "No, are you going to let me purify all the second-hand smoke from you two by myself?" Exclamation mark. Chapter 65. Yuanshin Time Management Master. Being ostracized by Jin and Toyama Tobi, Vodka was in a dilemma of whether to get on the bus or not. If he got on the bus, the second-hand smoke from Jin's semi-enclosed space would make his eyes hurt. If he didn't get on the bus, Toyama Tobi's smoke was puffing out, which was also polluting the environment. As the saying goes, choose the lesser of two evils. We all have to breathe second-hand smoke anyway, so why can only I breathe others and not others breathe mine? The crisp sound of Vodka's lighter made Toyama Tobi and Jin look at him together. Vodka's hand trembled as he lit the cigarette, and he looked at the two of them in confusion. Vodka was stunned to find that the two people who were smoking happily just now had put out their cigarettes. At this moment, Toyama Tobi and Jin looked at Vodka as if they were two non-smokers, strongly condemning Vodka, an old smoker. Okay, this is how you play it, right? Vodka's hand holding the lighter trembled, and then he put away the lighter and cigarette aggrievedly. Jin withdrew his gaze with satisfaction. That's right. It's so immoral to let people breathe second-hand smoke. Yuan Shenfei talked about business at the right time. The drug dealers on Yuang Island were uprooted by him. Yuan Shenfei once again showed Jin his superb house raiding skills. Because he was afraid that the gangsters who robbed the mail truck arrested by the police would bite out the Yuang Island gang, and the Yuang Island gang might implicate the organization. Yuan Shenfei simply killed all the drug dealers on Yuang Island. This style of doing things is in line with the logic of the organization members, especially Jin's logic. What's more, although Yuan Shenfei's house was raided, he still didn't forget to bring back some Yuang Island specialties for Jin and Vodka. Jin's satisfaction and trust in Yuan Shenfei were improved again. With Yuan Shenfei's style of plucking feathers from passing geese and scraping 3 feet of the ground, you say he is an undercover? How is it possible? What kind of undercover can be assimilated by the entire organization so quickly? Toyama Tobi also specifically told Vodka that he must act quickly when transferring the assets of the Uing Island gang members. They made quite a commotion on Uing Island, and the Metropolitan Police Department must have intervened. If they acted slower, the organization's income would be greatly reduced. Vodka immediately patted his chest and assured Toyama Tobi that the organization was professional in doing such things. They would definitely transfer all their assets before the police noticed, and they could also launder the money. Kuroiwa Ryoko and her fiancé who were far away on Uing Island might not know that from this month on, no one would be able to help them pay their credit card bills. I don't know if Murasawa Shuchi, who carefully selected such a negative mother-in-law, can still say those sweet words, and can still remember the vows of love he made to Kuroiwa Ryoko. Seeing that Toyama Tobi finished explaining the task, Jin lit a cigarette, and began to ask about Miyano Akimi. How is Miyano Akimi under your command? Is there any uneasy behavior? As soon as Jin lit up a cigarette, Vodka looked at Toyama Tobi immediately, and his hands were ready to move. If Toyama Tobi also lit a cigarette, Vodka was ready to follow suit immediately, and would never let these two people exclude him invisibly. But this time Toyama Tobi didn't smoke with his big brother. To be honest, Toyama Tobi was really scared of Jin's smoking frequency. Although he already had his big brother's iron lung, he decided to take care of his body a little. Toyama Tobi glanced at Vodka who was staring at him strangely. He always felt that Vodka seemed to have this nerve today. Miyano Akimi is quite honest. Toyama Tobi didn't lie. At least when she was under his command, Miyano Akimi didn't show any signs of causing trouble. Even when we left Moon Shadow Island, Miyano Akimi reminded me to kill her and root out the evil. I thought her thinking was quite in line with our organization. Brother Jin, who always had a cold face, was finally broken by Toyama Tobi's words this time, mainly because Jin knew Miyano Akimi too well. It didn't sound like Miyano Akimi would say this. But Toyama Tobi couldn't deceive himself in such an obvious situation. Jin thought about it and felt that he seemed to have found the source of this abnormality. Yes, it was Toyama Tobi. Miyano Akimi is still Miyano Akimi. She is the real person, not someone else's disguise. The organization is still the same organization, and there has never been a single change from the beginning to now. So excluding all impossibilities, no matter how absurd the remaining conclusion is, it is the truth. Jin, who cosplays as Sherlock Holmes, makes his own deduction. Toyama Tobi is a humanoid evil transmitter. If Miyano Akimi was thrown to Toyama Tobi earlier, would this restless woman have been assimilated by Toyama Tobi? The speed at which Toyama Tobi assimilates people is a bit too scary. Jin has always felt that Toyama Tobi is a good candidate for crime, but he didn't expect that Toyama Tobi could be so good. A little uncertain, Jin is ready to wait and see. Toyama, don't relax. This woman is still useful to the organization. Keep paying attention to her. Do you understand? I understand, big brother. Everything that should be explained has been explained, and Jin is not the kind of person who drags his feet. Waving to Vodka, the driver, Master Fu, is online again. Toyama Tobi had just watched Jin and Vodka leave, and was about to find a bank to deal with the specialties of Moon Shadow Island in the box, but the phone rang. Toyama Tobi took out his phone, and couldn't help laughing. He is now like the Sea King with the time management skill maximumed out. Just after satisfying the duo of Jin and Vodka, the civil servant officer Takagi called him again with unsatisfied desire. He hopes to meet him. What can Toyama Tobi, the Sea King, do in this situation? Of course, he will satisfy our officer Takagi. After the call was connected, Toyama Tobi and Takagi Wataru agreed on the time and place to meet. The specialty of Tsukikage Island was thrown on the backseat of the Aston Martin, and Toyama Tobi drove to a coffee shop near the Metropolitan Police Department building that Takagi mentioned. As soon as he entered the coffee shop, Toyama Tobi saw Officer Takagi waving at him in the corner. Speaking of which, Officer Takagi, why are you so idle? Toyama Tobi sat opposite Officer Takagi and looked him up and down and asked with a smile. It stands to reason that the investigation division should be very busy after arresting so many gangsters who sold drugs to support their drug addiction. Not to mention that these people were all arrested under the leadership of Takagi. Takagi should be able to participate in the subsequent interrogation, digging up the line, and arrest work. Having just arrived at the Metropolitan Police Department and being able to participate in such a large operation is a treatment that other newcomers would never beg for. Or has your credit for this case been taken away by someone else? Officer Takagi. Chapter 66 Takagi. I want to improve so much. Takagi felt warmed at heart when he saw Toyama Tobi, who was filled with righteous indignation and was ready to drag him to the Metropolitan Police Department to seek justice if they had a disagreement. But he still hurriedly grabbed Toyama Tobi. No, Toyama. No one is taking the credit from me. In just these 2 sentences, Toyama Tobi had already completed the 4 actions of sitting down, asking, standing up, and running away. Takagi was so scared that he rushed out and grabbed Toyama Tobi's arm. This little brother that Officer Sato introduced to him is good in every way, but he is a little too impulsive. It's a good thing that he met him. If he were put into society, how much would he suffer? Takagi is obviously a newcomer himself, but now he is worried about whether Toyama Tobi will suffer when he enters society in the future. What is a good person? Isn't this touching? The comment section is full of comments. It is unknown whether Toyama Tobi will suffer in the future, but based on Toyama Tobi's 3 words, the dinner that Takagi invited tonight should be at least 20,000, if not 180,000. Takagi pulled Toyama Tobi and pushed him back to his seat before saying to Toyama Tobi, actually, this is an administrative leave arranged by Officer Meiji. The so-called administrative leave generally refers to a way for the police to suspend police officers suspected of shooting. Administrative leave usually means suspending the duties of police officers and letting them stay at home or elsewhere to await further investigation results. Of course, this is in the United States. The administrative leave that Officer Meiji gave to Takagi is really a formal leave. Considering Takagi's rookie status, there were also criminals who died in front of Takagi during the arrest operation. The death can't be blamed on Toyama Tobi, who made this guy hide behind the door quietly and wanted to give Takagi a hard time. That's why Toyama Tobi just returned to Mecca, and Takagi happened to be on vacation and had nothing to do to contact him. After listening to Takagi's words, Toyama Tobi suddenly realized, I see, you are born to work hard. Why am I born to work hard? Takagi immediately complained about himself. How can he be called a hard worker? It's obviously Takagi who wants to improve too much. Toyama Tobi gave Takagi a sympathetic look. The reason why Officer Meiji gave Takagi an administrative leave was because Takagi was a rookie. Don't you see that the detectives in the investigation division 1 are basically used as 2 people? Officer Meiji is obviously afraid that Takagi will be too powerful as soon as he joins, and he is afraid that people will be scared away directly facing Takagi's speech that he wants to improve too much. Toyama Tobi smiled helplessly. It's really not afraid of brothers being used as a beast of burden, but afraid that brothers will drag you to be a beast of burden together. Okay, then you ask me to come. What are you aiming at? The upper line of that group of drug dealers has been following the investigation division 1, so they shouldn't need me, right? Facing such a beast of burden, what else can Toyama Tobi say? I can only forgive him with a smile. Hearing about Toyama Tobi's target, Takagi shook his head directly. No, those drug dealers are easy to interrogate. They have already confessed the upstream of the drug dealers who took the drugs. I just wondered if I could help my colleagues on other cases. Takagi smiled awkwardly and rubbed his hands. Although he was a rookie who had just entered the first investigation class, he was not a newcomer to the workplace. He had already taken the greatest credit for the drug dealers who robbed the mail truck. If he intervened again now, he would not even let his colleagues drink soup. Doing this is very hateful, and it is not the style of a good person. So Takagi took out a file that he had prepared long ago and pushed it to Toyama Tobi and whispered, "My target is this." It was the first time that Toyama Tobi saw a sly look on the face of a criminal policeman, and he was quite speechless about Takagi's sneaky behavior. Good guy. This is the first time he has seen someone sneaking around like a cow or a horse. Come, let me see which lucky person you have chosen. Toyama Tobi took the file and opened it to check. This is a file on serial kidnapping and murder. It records many serial kidnapping cases. The targets chosen by the kidnappers are usually young girls who have no ability to resist. The oldest victim is no older than the 6th grade of elementary school. After each kidnapping, the kidnappers will demand a ransom from the family of the target. After receiving the ransom, they will kill the victim on the spot. If it weren't for the drug dealers who robbed the mail truck, this case would be the main investigation case of the 1st Investigation Division. After reading the files brought by Takagi, Toyama Tobi couldn't help but grit his teeth. This bastard chose little girls as his targets, and as a kidnapper, he didn't have any professional ethics at all. It's really a disgrace to be Town. What's so great about picking on little girls? Why don't you go to Teton Elementary School and kidnap Koji Magenta? Toyama Tobi couldn't help but sigh in his heart that good people don't live long and evil will last for thousands of years. Although he despised this kidnapper who had no professional ethics, Toyama Tobi still told the truth. I really can't help with this case. This serial kidnapping and murder case is the first time I've heard of it. What made Toyama Tobi feel strange was that Takagi didn't show any disappointment when he heard him say that. Just when Toyama Tobi showed a puzzled look, Takagi answered his doubts. In fact, there are some clues about the kidnappers in this department, but it's not very clear. I came to you to borrow your good luck. Huh? To borrow my own luck? Toyama Tobi always felt that what Takagi said was a little wrong. Why does it sound like he is saying that he is a troublemaker and encounters incidents wherever he goes? Exclamation mark. Toyama Tobi's eyes looking at Takagi suddenly became dangerous. I treat you as a brother, but you actually treat me as a wishing machine. Exclamation mark. What happened to those incidents that he encountered? Others don't know. How could Toyama Tobi not know? It was obvious that he knew the plot in advance, so he could butt in. Toyama Tobi was just about to explain to Takagi that he was not a plague god like some detectives, but he saw Takagi across from him was distracted. I say, Officer Takagi, what are you looking at? Officer Sato is wearing JK on the street. Toyama Tobi teased Takagi and looked in the direction of his eyes. Then he saw a man covering a little girl's mouth in the alley opposite the coffee shop and forcibly dragging her into a car on the side of the road. Toyama, that is. Takagi stuttered and pointed outside in shock. Before he could finish, he was interrupted by Toyama Tobi. Don't fucking care about that. Hurry up and chase him or someone will die soon. Toyama Tobi grabbed Takagi and rushed out of the coffee shop. Before getting in the car, he looked at the Metropolitan Police Department building not far away. That's right, this is the fucking Metropolitan Police Department territory. The gangsters of Bihar are so arrogant that they kidnapped people directly near the Metropolitan Police Department building? Exclamation mark. What a shame. What a fucking shame. Chapter 67. Whose police officer drives an Aston Martin? It has to be said that the criminals who dared to kidnap people near the Metropolitan Police Department building are really good. Toyama Tobi drove his car closely behind the kidnapper's car, and the kidnapper drove his car through the streets and alleys. Originally, with Toyama Tobi's current driving skills, it should be easy to catch up with the criminals in front. Although the criminals' driving skills are good, they are not as good as Sato Mewako. But the kidnapper is too familiar with the streets around the Metropolitan Police Department building. The alleys he chose to pass through are basically able to accommodate one car, and most of these alleys are one-way streets. No matter how outrageous Toyama Tobi's driving skills are, he can't pass through the wall and stop the kidnapper's car in front. It's also thanks to Toyama Tobi's good driving skills. Otherwise, if it were an ordinary person, he would have been thrown into an alley by the kidnappers who knows where. Yuan Shinfei held the steering wheel with his eyes fixed on the car in front and asked Gaomyu, did you call for reinforcement from the Metropolitan Police Department? Yes, I did. Gaomyu held the handle in the car tightly with an uncomfortable look on his face, but the route this kidnapper took to escape was too random, and our department couldn't make a specific judgment. The inability to make a specific judgment means that it is impossible to intercept in a targeted manner, and we can only deploy large-scale control on the periphery. However, judging from the kidnapper's familiarity with the surrounding road conditions, Yuan Shinfei felt that it was uncertain whether this guy could think of some strange route to escape the blockade of the Metropolitan Police Department. This is normal. There are too many streets and alleys in the city, and even the police can't completely block an area. If the guy's really pushed to the limit, he might abandon the car and escape. At that time, he might even take the little girl as a hostage. Thinking that the criminals would take the little girl as a hostage, Yuan Shenfei suddenly froze. Hey, wait a minute. Hostages are the best way for criminals to threaten the police. But I'm not a policeman, right? Exclamation mark. I'm still a close subordinate of Jin-sama, a senior official of the black organization. I'm a formal member of a criminal group. Am I afraid that he will threaten me with hostages? Exclamation mark. How fresh. I have seen criminals use hostages to threaten police officers over the years. I have never seen criminals grab a hostage on the street to threaten their colleagues. Their colleagues are afraid of you? Toyama Tobi suddenly had an idea and asked Takagi beside him, "Officer Takagi, do you have a gun?" Toyama Tobi was not sure whether Takagi, who was on vacation, had a gun with him. Generally speaking, criminal police on vacation would not carry guns with them. Fortunately, I have it. Takagi nodded and subconsciously pulled out the police pistol from the holster. Officer Mejiya is afraid that this group of people have accomplices, so he specifically told me to carry a gun with me. Are you going to fire a warning shot? Takagi was mentally prepared for Toyama Tobi's unconventional moves, but Takagi could fully withstand the level of firing a warning shot. Just when Takagi was about to open the window and fire a warning shot, Toyama Tobi reached out and took the police gun from Takagi's hand. Then he pressed the window on the main driver's side and pointed the gun at the car in front. Haha, this police gun was touched by Kudo Shinichi, but I, Toyama Tobi, can't touch it? Takagi's sidearm is the police type Nunanbu M60 revolver, which uses a 77mm long barrel and has a capacity of 5 rounds. How should I put it? This capacity is enough as a deterrent against criminals without hot weapons. But for Toyama Tobi, he has never fought such a cramped battle. Since he joined the organization, 5 rounds of bullets, the group of foreigners stationed in Japan thought we couldn't afford it. But it's better to have a pistol than nothing to shoot, and Toyama Tobi couldn't just pull out a gun in front of Takagi to show that he was equipped with his own weapon. At this moment, he could only calculate the number of bullets and shoot 2 shots at the car in front. Toyama Tobi shot the right rear view mirror of the car in front with 1 shot, and the other shot hit the rear windshield. After firing 2 shots, Yuan Shenfei stuck his head out and yelled at the car in front, "Bagayalo, you bastard, stop the car. That little girl is our chosen hostage. How dare you, a bastard, reach out to our territory?" The kidnapper in the car in front was very nervous. It was the first time he did it near the Metropolitan Police Department, and he was afraid of attracting the police. But who made this little girl his target this time? He had been following the little girl for a while, and only had the chance to meet the little girl alone today. He didn't know when he would have such a good opportunity again. Even though it was near the Metropolitan Police Department building, he gritted his teeth and decided to do it. But Murphy's Law tells us that what people fear often comes to them. Just when he succeeded, 2 policemen rushed out of the coffee shop next to him. The kidnapper was so scared that he took the hostage and ran away. But while fleeing, the kidnapper felt that the police behind him seemed a little strange. How could the police from the Metropolitan Police Department drive an Aston Martin antique car? Although he was full of doubts, the kidnapper did not dare to slow down for a while, because the car of Yuan Shenfei was chasing him too closely. If he really slowed down, what if he guessed wrong and the person behind him was really a policeman? Wouldn't that mean he would be trapped in his own web? Just when the kidnapper didn't know which way to go to get rid of the person behind him, Yuan Shenfei opened fire. Then there was a rude scolding. Although the kidnapper was shot and scolded for no reason, his heart was at ease. It turned out that the person following behind him was not a policeman, but a colleague. He knew that the police from the Metropolitan Police Department would definitely not drive an Aston Martin out on duty. The kidnapper slowed down the car when he found that the person behind him was a colleague. He knew very well that if the person behind him was a policeman, he might be able to take the little girl as a hostage to make the police hesitate. But since the person behind him was a colleague, the one who could shoot in broad daylight must be the most fierce of the fierce gangsters. If he kidnapped their hostage himself, it would be a situation of life and death. If the kidnapper didn't cooperate, what if the big brothers following behind him got angry and wanted to kill him? If he didn't do this business? The kidnapper quickly slowed down and prepared to find a spacious place to park. He even thought about how to sincerely apologize to the big brothers later. If he could join this gang of gangsters, it would be like a long drought and a sweet dew, and dry wood meeting a raging fire. I have been wandering for half my life, and have never met a wise master. If you don't abandon me, I'm willing to worship you as my godfather. As for why the kidnapper was so sure that the gangsters were chasing him instead of the police, on the one hand, it was Toyama Tobi's Aston Martin. Another reason was that Toyama Tobi just fired recklessly. Those who have robbed a bank in Bihua town know that the police will generally issue a warning before shooting, regardless of the speed. Did the big brother who just shot look like he wanted to warn himself? Finally, the kidnapper's car stopped. Toyama Tobi gave Gaomyu, who was stunned beside him, a look of watching my show, threw the gun at Gaomyu, and then got out of the car aggressively. It has been a while since he came to Japan. Toyama K started with a practiced tongue-twisting sound. Bakayero, what the hell are you doing, you bastard? Chapter 68. Say, do you think I look like a policeman? Red beam paste, Smimase. The kidnapper who got out of the car gave a sincere hello to Toyama Tobi. No wonder this guy had to find a spacious place to park, because the place was too small to express the sincerity of his apology. Gaomyu, who got out of the car with a gun in his hand, was dumbfounded by the explosive scene in front of him. Did he accidentally fall asleep in the car and skip the plot? Why did the scene suddenly become like this? The kidnapper who said he would not stop the car just now not only stopped the car, but also knelt on the ground to beg for Toyama Tobi's forgiveness. Why forgive him? Why don't you just hold out your hands and let the police arrest him? I'm very sorry, brothers. I really didn't know she was your target. Please rest assured, I just threatened her in the car and didn't hurt her. You will definitely get a healthy and complete hostage. The kidnapper showed off his merits to Yuan Shenfei with a very knowledgeable look. Isn't it just like a new police officer who catches a class A wanted criminal when he joins the gang? The kidnapper can already imagine the scene of being relied on by the big brothers after joining the gang. There are two big brothers in the gang who dare to shoot in the street. Then he doesn't have to keep staring at the elementary school students and kidnapping them. It's not that junior high school students can't imagine it. The little girl in the car originally saw Yuan Shenfei's handsome appearance and ignored the dirty words that just came out of her ears. She was imagining the classic scene of a hero saving a beautiful girl. Then she suddenly heard the bad news. This is not a hero saving a beautiful girl. This is just out of the wolf's den and into the tiger's mouth. Unable to bear such a blow, the little girl simply rolled her eyes and fainted. Yuan Shenfei gave Gaomyu a calm look and calmly asked the kidnapper on the ground, I ask you, why did you run when you saw us brothers just now? I thought you two were cops at first glance, so I panicked. The kidnapper looked innocent. You said that, since you are not police, you should say hello when you chase me. If you chase him to death without saying a word, it would be strange if he didn't run. Yuan Shenfei was furious when he heard this. Bagayalu. Along with a shout, he slapped the kidnapper in the face with a big doucher bag. You actually thought we brothers were police? Hey, I'm so sorry. The kidnapper didn't dare to resist at all after being slapped and immediately continued to admit his mistake. Yuan Shenfei snorted coldly, let me ask you again, since you think we are policemen, why do you stop now? Hearing Yuan Shenfei's question, the kidnapper immediately became confident and answered, because according to my analysis, I think the two big brothers are definitely not policemen. But Kaolu Yuan Shenfei slapped the kidnapper again, and he looked at Yuan Shenfei in confusion. It's okay to say that you two are like policemen, but how can you be beaten, even if you don't look like policemen? Exclamation mark. This is too moody. The kidnapper questioned his life plan for the first time. Following such a big brother, wouldn't he be beaten every other day? Otherwise, forget it. Hand over the meat ticket to them this time, and then everyone will go their separate ways. He can't afford to serve such a hot-tempered big brother. Facing the kidnapper's questioning eyes, Toyama Tobi said to Takagi beside him without saying a word, "Officer Takagi, show him your police ID. Why can't we brothers be police officers?" Takagi subconsciously took out his police ID. As soon as the kidnapper saw the logo on the ID, he was startled and stood up and wanted to run. Toyama Tobi, who had been prepared for the kidnapper's move, kicked the kidnapper's leg and knocked him to the ground. With a click, Toyama Tobi's kick without mercy caused real damage to the kidnapper on the spot. Before the kidnapper's scream could be drawn out, he was slapped back by Toyama Tobi's big slap. Toyama Tobi looked down at the kidnapper on the ground and showed the most friendly smile. "Do you think I look like a police officer?" No, the kidnapper was about to say no, but then he thought of Takagi, who had just taken out his police ID and the slaps he had received repeatedly. Under normal circumstances, Toyama Tobi's behavior would definitely not be like a police officer, at least not like a Tokyo police officer. But the kidnapper, who had been beaten repeatedly, felt that his intelligence had taken the upper hand again, so the words on his lips turned into, "Officer, you look too much like a policeman." Back air as expected, another big slap. After these big slaps, Gaomu found that the kidnapper's face had turned into an unrecognizable pig head and felt something was wrong. It was quite satisfying for Yuan Shinfei to do this, but would there be any impact in the future? Gaomu leaned close to Yuan Shinfei's ear and told Yuan Shinfei about his concerns. As a result, the kidnapper on the ground had sharp ears and heard Gaomu's words. Brother, don't worry, I will never report you. Whether you are a policeman or not, the injury on my face is caused by my own fall. Brother, please let me go." The kidnapper couldn't kneel down at this moment, so he could only half lying on the ground and begging for mercy from Yuan Shinfei. Of course, these words had another meaning in Yuan Shinfei's ears. You see, the kidnapper emphasized the current injury, which means that if Toyama Tobi stops, then bygones will be forgiven. But if Toyama Tobi continues to commit violence, he will definitely complain to the Metropolitan Police Department about Toyama Tobi. Even if the Metropolitan Police Department does not accept the case, he can still find a lawyer or a reporter. There is never a lack of negative news about the Metropolitan Police Department in Tokyo, and there are media willing to report on the scandals of the Metropolitan Police Department. Of course, the kidnapper's promise is nothing to listen to. He also said that he would release the person after receiving the money, but in the end, didn't he kill the person? This was just a stopgap measure of the kidnapper. Toyama Tobi knew the kidnapper's little thoughts on the ground very well. Toyama Tobi and the kidnapper looked at each other and suddenly laughed. "Brother, you may have misunderstood. I'm not a policeman. On the contrary, I'm just a thug who gets paid to do things. If I can make you feel uncomfortable now, I believe that the families of the victims will not hesitate to hire a lawyer who has never lost a case to defend me. Of course, they will also compensate me with a large sum of money. This money is easy to earn without risk, and I have to thank you for all this. As for the detective next to you," Yuan Shinfei glanced at Gaomu, "I can testify that the detective didn't touch you at all. Do you think the judge will believe me or you, Mr. Kidnapper? Oh no, this guy's going to beat me to death." The kidnapper's heart skipped a beat. He could not hear even a trace of kindness in Yuan Shinfei's words, and even the kidnapper himself felt that Yuan Shinfei made a good deal of money. There is indeed a great terror between life and death. The kidnapper, who was paralyzed on the ground and unable to walk, suddenly broke out his potential. He forgot the pain in his leg and immediately limped out of the alley. It was obviously unrealistic to escape from Yuan Shinfei, but the kidnappers only needed him to run out of the alley and find a crowded place. He didn't believe that Yuan Shinfei would dare to continue beating him outside. What is the place after this alley? Yes, that's right, it's the side entrance of Titan University. Today seems to be the campus festival of Titan University. There must be a lot of people there. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69. Is yours the criminal who kidnapped the girls? Then what is mine? The kidnapper, with his potential bursting, finally rushed out of the alley that symbolized new life and hope. Facing the setting sun, he just wanted to find a police station to surrender. He didn't want to fall into the hands of the two behind him, or more precisely, a demon. The kidnapper, enduring the severe pain in his leg, turned his head and saw several uniformed police officers standing near the side door of Teton High School. At this moment, the kidnapper was like a believer seeing an angel, and he was ready to rush over on the spot. But just as the kidnapper was about to leave, he suddenly saw several elementary school students standing in front of the police. One of the elementary school students with a big head had amazing jumping ability. Although it was not as high as an adult's thigh, it almost surpassed the adult next to him after jumping up. This jump distance must be more than 1 meter. Is it reasonable? Of course, the kidnapper no longer cared whether this elementary school student was scientific or reasonable. He just wanted to rush in front of the police and confess his crime. The kidnapper ran towards the police excitedly, and then he heard the elementary school student shouting in the air, "Wake up!" A glowing helmet suddenly appeared in front of him and was printed on his face. Wait, why would a helmet kicked by an elementary school student glow? And, "Don't come over here." The glowing helmet and Toyama Tobi and Takagi Wataru, who walked to his side, were the last two things the kidnapper saw before he fainted. What? Conan took a breath of cold air after knocking down the kidnapper. Why did this person suddenly appear in the path of the helmet? Although Conan caused accidental injuries to innocent passers-by, it is obviously not the time to discuss this matter. Today is the ordinary team building day of the boys' white giveaway group. Conan is a main member of the white giveaway group, or one of the 4 main members. He was forcibly caught from home by other elementary school students. Then they started to play hide and seek happily. The elementary school students' desire to win was fully reflected in this game. Among them, Yoshida Ayumi hid directly in the trunk of someone else's private car and fell asleep. Fortunately, this group of freeloaders got to know Dr. Agasa, a big shot in the scientific research community, because of Conan. Dr. Agasa, who likes children, arranged new equipment for them, detective badges that can be used for communication. After searching for Ayumi Yoshida, Conan realized that Ayumi might have had an accident, so he contacted Ayumi with the detective badge. Then they were surprised to hear that the trunk of the private car, where Ayumi was, actually belonged to the serial kidnapper and murderer who was on the run. Even this was a gang of 2 people. Realizing this, Conan knew that, once the car stopped, Ayumi in the trunk might be discovered, and it would be dangerous. No kidnapper would let go of the prey that came to his door. At this time, Conan could not care about continuing to be depressed, and caught up with the criminal's car through some exquisite reasoning. On the way, Conan even found a group of policemen setting up checkpoints, and the police also chased Conan's back with a shout. After the criminals parked the car at the side door of Teton University, Conan showed an expression of victory. It is true that he can't do anything to Toyama Tobi for the time being, but that doesn't mean he can't do anything to a small serial kidnapper and murderer like you. Just when Conan was about to subdue a gangster approaching Ayumi in front of the police, a Cheng Yaojin suddenly appeared. The lame passerby just now used his face to receive Conan's skills at lightning speed. This made Toyama Tobi subconsciously touch his face. This kidnapper with a disabled body but a strong will is really thick-skinned. Although Conan was disgusted with Toyama Tobi and wished that Toyama Tobi and the black organization would die on the spot, but when Toyama Tobi walked to the side of the serial girl kidnapper's car, Conan still breathed a sigh of relief. "Brother Toyama, Officer Takagi, hurry up and catch them. They are the serial girl kidnapper and murderer gang that the police are looking for." Conan knew that Toyama Tobi had 2 faces. One was the face of a lawless member of the black organization, and the other was the face of an enthusiastic citizen who appeared in front of the police. There were so many police officers on the scene, and with Officer Takagi from the Metropolitan Police Department, Conan believed that Toyama Tobi would not stand idly by at this time. Isn't this a great opportunity for him to improve his favorability in front of the police? Unfortunately, Conan's prediction of Toyama Tobi has never been very accurate, and this time is no exception. Hearing Conan's shout, Toyama Tobi did not move, and even turned his head to show Conan a puzzled expression. The criminal of the serial kidnapping and murder of girls? Toyama Tobi glanced at the unconscious kidnapper on the ground, and then looked at the trunk beside him full of newspapers cut into the size of banknotes, and a rough head made of newspapers. If it is a serial kidnapping and murder of girls, then what is this thing of mine? So just because you use this detective badge to hear two actors reciting lines in the car, you think they are the criminals of the serial kidnapping and murder of girls? In the office of the 1st Investigation Division, Officer Meji picked up a detective badge and asked 4 elementary school students. At this moment, the 4 elementary school students were as quiet as chickens. Not only them, but even their parents were silent. Because other police officers at the scene recognized Officer Takagi from the 1st Investigation Division, a misunderstanding was resolved on the spot. The real murderer was taken back to the Metropolitan Police Department by other police officers, and the 2 members of the kidnapping gang suspected by Conan also revealed their identities. They are serious stage actors, and what they said in the car before were the lines of the stage play that will be performed at Teton University in the evening. The stage play is about to start, and the 2 actors said that they would not pursue the slander of this group of elementary school students. But Officer Meji, who arrived later, felt that this group of troublemaking elementary school students needed to be taught a profound lesson. So the elementary school students were taken back to the Metropolitan Police Department by Officer Meji, and their parents were also found by Officer Meji. Toyama Tobi naturally would not miss such a lively event. Seeing that Officer Meji did not ask the right question, he said secretly, "I heard that the kidnapper was kicked by Conan with a helmet and got a concussion. It was really dangerous. If there was no real kidnapper, wouldn't the helmet be kicked on the head of an innocent citizen?" Officer Meji immediately reacted. Yes, Conan's kicking power was indeed too strong to be like a normal elementary school student. So he asked Conan, "Conan, how did you do it?" I was just worried that Ayumi would be hurt by the criminals." Conan glared and started to lie. Toyama Tobi then came to Maurika Goro and started to lead the rhythm. "You are really lucky, Mauri brother. If Conan kicked the right person, how much money would you have to pay? Do you think it was Zyalin?" Toyama Tobi did not forget to cue Zyalin at this time. After all, the one who really holds the financial power of the Mauri family is not Maurika Goro, but Mauri Ran, the housekeeper. Chapter 70. Lang Liang teaching her son. Mao Lilin probably got used to her fighting power when she was practicing karate. Although Conan's destructive power of kicking the ball has increased significantly recently, for Mao Lilin, no matter what Conan kicks, she can blow it up with one punch. The Silver Saint of Beaker Unicorn is so terrifying. Although Mao Lilin is not surprised by Conan's growing destructive power, that is based on the fact that Conan is fighting criminals when he uses the foot strength strengthening shoes. As a brave party, Conan does not need to pay compensation, even if he kicks the murderer and gives him a concussion. But this time Conan almost kicked an innocent actor. Although the actor was not eating hot pot and singing on the way to Teton University, Conan still came. If Conan really kicked him with a helmet and gave him a concussion and delayed the performance, how much money would be enough to compensate? Although the life of the firm is not really tight, at most there is Eri Kisuki, a lawyer, to support the family. But this kind of thing will happen again. How much money does this family have to be enough for Conan to waste like this? A false black organization and Conan's blunder this time made Mao Lilin pay close attention to Conan's education. When she was at the Metropolitan Police Department, Mao Lilin saved Conan's face and did not expose his perfunctory attitude towards Officer Meji. But after returning home, Zyalin asked Conan seriously, "Conan, tell me, how did you kick the helmet today?" "Sister Zyalin, didn't I tell Officer Meji? When I saw Ayumi being caught by that man, my potential burst out for a while." Conan was interrupted by Zyalin before he finished speaking. "Conan, I know the state you are talking about, and I have also heard of the example of your mother lifting a sedan to save her child. But you know, if you really were in that state of explosion, you should be in the hospital with tubes all over your body now, instead of standing here and lying to me alive and kicking." Mao Lilin was playing the role of a mother teaching her son, while Toyama Tobi and Maurika Goro were sharing cigarettes and drinking bottles. Conan was being taught a lesson, so there was no need for any appetizers. You took a puff, I took a puff, you drank a sip, I drank a sip. That was so happy. If nothing else, it was the gloating spirit of Maori Kagoro now. You said Maori Kagoro didn't know Conan's identity? How to say it? Conan has been serialized for 20 years, and the most mysterious identity of the big boss behind the scenes has been revealed. But whether Maori Kagoro knows Conan's identity is still the object of debate among many fans. You say he doesn't know Conan's identity, but he beats Conan every other day without mercy. You say he knows Conan's identity, but he can still sit back and watch his daughter take Conan to take a bath. In this world, Toyama Tobi has not heard that Xyadalan took Conan to take a bath. Maybe Conan didn't behave well enough, so there is no such reward? Anyway, so far, Toyama Tobi is inclined to Maori Kagoro knowing Conan's identity. But Toyama Tobi won't say it out. The key to adult interactions is to be confused. Maori Kagoro is such a good drinking buddy, and Toyama Tobi doesn't want to lose him easily. So Toyama Tobi watched, and found that the progress of Ran's teaching had stagnated. The main reason is that Xyadalan didn't know how Conan could kick out such a destructive helmet. Conan started to play rogue again. You can't deny my explanation without evidence. I don't know which murderer of Mika he learned this stubborn sophistry from. Xyadalan, I see Conan's shoes are very new. Toyama Tobi blew out a puff of green smoke and reminded lightly. Yes, brother Toyama is right. After getting the hint from Toyama Tobi, Maori Ran was inspired. To be honest, Xyadalan is quite talented in reasoning. After all, she is the daughter of Maori Kagoro and Kisaki Eri. The genes are here. I don't usually reason, because I have no interest in reasoning. It's enough to have 2 detectives at home, and there is no need for another female high school detective. It can be seen from the original work that Conan's hiding of his identity is also divided into levels. For other people, Conan's main approach is to go with the flow. If you find it, I will admit it. Everyone knows it tacitly. But for Maori Ran, Conan racked his brains and used all his life skills to hide his childhood sweetheart. Damn, Empress Dowager 6, he would rather be with foreigners than be a slave. Conan would rather let the world know my identity than let Xyadalan call me Shinichi. This man has so many grandchildren. Maori Ran has seen through Conan's identity several times. If it weren't for those bad friends and outrageous parents who helped to conceal it, Conan probably knew what it meant to hit someone like hanging a painting. He is the mural that can't be taken down from the wall. Maori Ran thought that Conan's shoes were not right and immediately looked at Conan and asked him to take off his shoes. Originally, Conan wanted to act like a child and throw a tantrum, but Maori Ran was the only one in the whole office who would fall for Conan's tricks. Now Xyadalan is determined to see Conan's shoes, and Conan has no way to deal with it. Xyadalan took the foot power developed by Dr. Agasa in her hand, and she easily found the switch on the shoe. After twisting, a flash of lightning flashed, and Maori, who felt that she was strengthened, reached out to the kettle for boiling water. Then there was a creaking sound. The kettle that was originally used to boil water was rolled into a ball by Maori. Maori Kagoro's eyes were wide open, staring at his daughter in shock. He already had a daughter whose strength was foul, and the middle-aged man who was already living a timid life now saw a more terrifying scene. How can he live in the future? Exclamation mark. Maori Kagoro was so confused that he even thought that if Xyadalan got married after graduating from high school, it seemed that it was not impossible. Brother Maori, you will probably have a very well-behaved son-in-law in the future. Congratulations. Yuan Shinfei patted Maori Kagoro's shoulder in amazement. Maori Kagoro was sweating and said something like children and grandchildren have their own blessings. The level of increase in foot power was even shocking to Maori Ran herself. This invention must have been made by Dr. Agasa. Maori instantly locked onto the suspect and said with certainty, this power is a bit too great for a child, isn't it? At this moment, Conan was sweating coldly and made up his mind that he would hide his true identity from Xyadalan even if he died. Because if he couldn't hide it, it would really cost lives. At this moment, Conan even wanted Toyama Tobi to get the code name immediately and then get the mysterious medicine from the organization. Even if he spent a lot of money, he would buy it from Toyama Tobi. The purpose was to research the antidote as soon as possible so that he could get out of this life and death crisis. Chapter 71. The first update tomorrow will be delayed by 1 or 2 hours. Right. There were traffic jams everywhere today, so I came back late. I bow down to the masters. Red bean paste simi masse. PS. The other pictures are from the internet, but I really know this one. Chapter 72. What is the rulin in the Heisei era? Hey, I haven't offended you recently. Why do you have to let Zyallen take away my foot strengthening shoes? Conan looked unhappy. Although he was wearing a brand new pair of Nikes sponsored by Toyama Tobi, how could a pair of broken Nikes compare to the foot strength? Yes, that's right. Last night, when Ranmauri charged in front of him, and Toyama Tobi was drumming on the side, Conan's foot strength was gloriously confiscated. Even Ranmauri called Dr. Agasa, who was always sleeping late at night, and asked him not to provide Conan with dangerous props. It's okay to give small toys like detective badges that are harmless for children to play with, but it's better not to give things like foot strength that are too dangerous for elementary school students. Although Dr. Agasa didn't know why his identity as an arms supplier was exposed, he still agreed to it because he was in the wrong. There was no way Dr. Agasa couldn't tell Zyallen that the one I gave you was not actually an elementary school student. It was a shrunken high school student. Last night was a night when Conan was defeated, but it was also a happy night for Mauri Kagoro and Toyama Tobi. The two of them drank one cup after another until late at night. Then Toyama Tobi stayed at the office and took the responsibility of sending Conan to school early this morning. Just as he was sending Conan to school, Conan suddenly asked the question at the beginning. Facing Conan's question, Toyama Tobi readily answered, "Because those shoes are too dangerous for me." Conan just got the foot power not long ago, and perhaps his understanding of the foot power is not deep enough. But Toyama Tobi is different. The foot power on Conan's feet in the first 20 years of the time travel was getting more and more outrageous. Although Toyama Tobi can still cope with Conan's current foot power, as time goes by, Toyama Tobi really doesn't think he can become stronger as much as Kagagoki Makoto. Although Toyama Tobi's fighting level is not bad, his skills still depend on various weapons. If Conan really poked him secretly, he would probably have to experience the good quality of sleep of young people who fall asleep as soon as they lie down like babies. So it is very important for Toyama Tobi that Conan does not have Zuligian. Moreover, from this contact between Conan and himself, Toyama Tobi has felt that Conan seems to be much calmer. He is no longer the depressed look who spent dirty money and became an accomplice. Toyama Tobi is very curious about Conan's mental journey and immediately asked, "Speaking of which, you look depressed and couldn't live a few days ago. Why did you suddenly come to your senses these 2 days?" Conan just smiled slightly, then took out his small wallet, took out a stack of banknotes from it, put them in his hands, and divided them into 2. "What do you mean?" Looking at Conan's actions, Toyama Tobi suddenly felt a sense of familiarity in his heart. "I seem to have seen this plot somewhere before." Conan smiled calmly and asked Toyama Tobi, "Can you please tell me now, of the 2 bills in front of you, which one is noble and which one is dirty?" "Fog. Likely. Rice flour thank Rualin!" Exclamation mark. Toyama Tobi expected that Conan would go astray because of his existence. But he didn't expect Conan to go astray to this extent. Looking at Toyama Tobi's shocked look, Conan put away the bills and smiled contentedly. "In the past few days, I have actually figured out one thing. Why should I let myself be depressed because of the behavior of a criminal? As a detective, I will not fall down before you, the criminal, are caught. It is said that a man should be looked at with new eyes after 3 days of absence." Toyama Tobi found that he really underestimated Conan. At least Conan's self-regulation ability is really quite good. And most importantly, if Conan can really figure out the matter of his dividing the spoils, it means that Conan's own justice has changed a lot. Why does Conan have so many unresolved cases in the original work? Conan's factors account for at least half of them. If Holmes and Poirot's beliefs as detectives are to find the truth, Conan's belief as a detective is to find the murderer and hand him over to the police. The two seem similar, but the core is completely different. Holmes, who can say, when the law cannot bring justice to the parties, private revenge is justified, and even noble from this moment on, obviously supports this righteous revenge behavior. but in Conan's eyes, this behavior is no different from other murderers. How to say it, if a person can stick to a belief throughout, it is certainly worthy of respect. But Conan's belief always lacks some humanity. This is probably the most criticized point of Conan by Toyama Tobi, except for the fact that the whole world can't know my identity except Xyanalan. Now Conan's belief seems to have changed a little because of his behavior. Toyama Tobi is not sure. He is ready to take another look. After watching Conan enter the school, Toyama Tobi took out his cell phone and called Takagi. "Officer Takagi, I have something to ask you to investigate for me." Conan, who was sent to school by Toyama Tobi today, did not skip classes again, but was a good elementary school student in school for a day. Conan, who thought he could go back to the office to read novels after school, was stopped by the other 3 members of the freebie group. Genta said that the junior freebie group, no, it was the junior detective group that needed to conduct a random date team building and death activity. This activity is indispensable for Conan, the unfortunate babysitter. So Kojima Genta initiated it. Motoya Mitsuhiko agreed, and Yoshida Ryumi added fuel to the flames. Conan, who should have been released and went home, was forcibly dragged to the Beaker Library. It is said that the Beaker Library has a rare edition of Kamen Rider comics that have never been released. It is hidden in the children's area of the library. Please, how can you believe such lies? Conan sighed and complained under Genta's threat of force. However, the 3 enthusiastic teammates in the freebie group had no intention of disliking Conan for spoiling their fun. Anyway, as long as Conan followed them, it would prove that Conan and they were in the same group. It didn't matter whether Conan complained or not. Most of the other members of the freebie group knew that Conan was forced to come out for team building, so it was normal for him to complain. When they arrived at the bookstore, the freebie trio seemed to have forgotten their original plan to hunt for treasure. The freebie trio, who couldn't walk when passing by the comics area, happily began to chase Kamen Rider. Conan just smiled helplessly at this, and then casually found a mystery novel to read. It was like taking care of the children. Anyway, they would have to go back to their homes after the library closed. Just when Conan was fascinated by reading the mystery novel, Toyama Tobi came to the public telephone booth near the Beaker Library. He dialed a landline number. "Hello, is this the office number of Director Jinchuan of the Beaker Library? I'm a little stuck. I'll write the next chapter after I wake up. It may be a little late." Chapter 73. I'm not a bad person, nor a priest. I'm Jinchuan. Who are you? Jinchuan's kind voice came from the receiver. If it weren't for Yuan Shenfei knowing the details of Director Jinchuan, he really couldn't have imagined that this decent looking librarian was actually engaged in drug trafficking behind the scenes. It's true that you can't judge a person by his appearance. When Yuan Shenfei heard that it was the real owner who answered the phone, he immediately adjusted his voice to make his voice sound rougher. "Have you hidden all those shady things in Jinchuan's children's area?" "What? What shady things? I don't understand what you are talking about." In the director's office, Hideki Jinchuan subconsciously clenched the receiver in his hand, but on the surface he remained calm. "Don't play dumb, Director Jinchuan. If your library really doesn't have those shady things, will you continue to listen to me, a stranger, talk?" Yuan Shenfei shook his head speechlessly. The psychological quality of Hideki Jinchuan was really worrying, and he couldn't even reach the average level of Bihua Town. "You should be familiar with the name of Kazuo Tamada, Director. My poor friend has been out of contact with his family for almost 24 hours. Toyama Tobi pointed out Kazuo Tamada's name. This was what Toyama Tobi asked Takagi to investigate. Although Toyama Tobi could not remember Kazuo Tamada's name, he remembered Kazuo Tamada and the staff in charge of the children's area of the Beaker Library. Toyama Tobi called Takagi just now, hoping that Takagi could investigate whether the Beaker police station had any family members of Beaker Library staff to report missing. Minors will be immediately accepted, no matter how long they have been missing, but adults can report missing at any time, but it takes 48 hours to file a case. Kazuo Tamada has been missing for less than 24 hours, and although a case cannot be filed, the information reported by his family will be recorded. Kazuo Tamada was also told to Toyama Tobi by Takagi. Toyama Tobi felt very sorry when he heard that Kazuo Tamada had been missing for nearly 24 hours. Originally, he wanted to save this naive adult, a drug dealer like Hideki Tsukuo, or all drug dealers are no different from frightened birds. It is better to expect them to die in a car accident than to expect them to surrender. When Kazuo Tamada found the drugs hidden by the curator, he should have pretended to be evasive and contacted the police after confirming that he was safe. Otherwise, how can we say Kazuo Tamada is naive? When Hideki Tsukuo threatened to call the police, he said that he would surrender, and this guy actually believed it. He also relaxed his vigilance and exposed his defenseless back to Hideki Tsukuo. This behavior is basically equivalent to jumping back and forth in front of Hideki Tsukuo, saying, "Come on, come and kill me. If you don't kill me today, you're done." In this way, a pillar of the family, a good husband in the eyes of his wife, died at his workplace. The body was even hidden on the cold ceiling of the elevator, and then followed the elevator up and down all day. When the name Kazuo Tamada was said by Toyama Tobi, Hideki Tsukuo's pupils trembled. He originally thought that the day he killed Kazuo Tamada was the first time Kazuo Tamada discovered that he was hiding drugs. But the extortion call from Toyama Tobi made Tsukuo Hideki realize that things didn't seem to be the case. That's right, in Tsukuo Hideki's opinion, Toyama Tobi's call was intended to extort him. Even facing Toyama Tobi's extortion call, Tsukuo Hideki still felt a little annoyed about his hasty killing of Kazuo Tamada. "You should have said earlier that you were here to extort and threaten me. If you had said earlier that you were here to ask for money, would I have killed you?" Tsukuo Hideki also had many complaints about Kazuo Tamada. Ever since Tsukuo Hideki began to sell drugs in Bika Town with the help of his identity, he had imagined that one day he would be discovered by his men. Originally, Tsukuo Hideki's plan was to pull his men into the water, give them a share of the pie first, and then make them bigger and stronger to create glory again. But it happened that Kazuo Tamada found him and said he wanted to call the police at a very clever time. A few days ago, his offline men had just been wiped out by the police, and Tsukuo Hideki was in a state of panic during this period. Kazuo Tamada said confidently that he would call the police, and it didn't look like he was bluffing. Hideki Tsukuo didn't think much about it at the time and simply killed him. Originally, Hideki Tsukuo planned to deal with Kazuo Tamada's body in a day or two. The body in the elevator would start to stink if it wasn't dealt with. The call from Toyama Tobi made Tsukuo Hideki realize that Kazuo Tamada's words about calling the police might not be real. It was a means of blackmailing him. Damn it, acting too well will only kill you. With complaints about Kazuo Tamada, Hideki Tsukuo asked Toyama Tobi calmly, "I don't understand what you are saying. But if you are a friend of Tamada, you can come to my office in the evening. He left some things with me. Can you please pass the things to his wife?" Hideki Tsukuo invited Toyama Tobi to meet. Toyama Tobi readily agreed to Tsukuo Hideki's invitation to meet him. "I will go to your office to meet you at 9 o'clock in the evening. Don't play tricks, I'm watching you." After saying this, Toyama Tobi hung up the phone. Shortly after the call ended, Toyama Tobi saw Tsukuo Hideki leaving the library in a hurry. As expected, Tsukuo Hideki left now either to call someone or to withdraw money. Of course, the chance of withdrawing money is greater. If you want to call someone, it is obviously more convenient and more concealed to make a phone call in your own office. After Tsukuo Hideki was completely out of his sight, Toyama Tobi walked into the library. He found a corner that was not in the spotlight and picked up a book to read. Not far from Toyama Tobi was the comics area, and two children happened to walk by Toyama Tobi together. He waved and called the two children. "Children, do you want to earn some pocket money?" Toyama Tobi noticed the expressions of the two children in front of him who were reluctant to part with the comics in their hands, so he said an extremely bad line. The words fell into the ears of the primary school students, and they also showed a vigilant look. Seeing this, Yuan Shenfei hurriedly took out a 10,000 yuan bill and handed it to the two children. "Don't worry, I'm not a bad person, nor a priest. As long as you do what I say, this money will be yours in the end." Perhaps Yuan Shenfei's sincerity touched the two primary school students, or perhaps the temptation of money was too strong. The two children agreed to Yuan Shenfei's conditions, and after collecting the money, they happily moved towards the direction of the three people in the comics area. Hey, have you heard that the library will hide the collector's edition of Kamen Rider after closing every night? Of course I heard about it. I and my classmates stayed here all night to get the collector's edition of Kamen Rider. It's a pity that my father doesn't let me stay overnight outside. Otherwise I can get the collector's edition comics before others. That's right, it's such a pity in Yuan Shenfei's eyes. The poor acting skills of the children are simply unbearable to watch. But in the eyes of the 3 members of the freebie group, the words Kamen Rider Collector's Edition alone were enough to make them abandon their little rationality. I woke up in the afternoon with a splitting headache, as if I had caught a cold. I felt groggy all day after taking the cold medicine. I was happy to get a 1-day solo out of body experience card. Chapter 74, Self-Cultivation of a Dog. Just stay in the library at night. You can see where the staff hides the collector's edition of Kamen Rider. We can get the collector's edition of Kamen Rider? The 3 beige group talked to each other, and they also remembered the purpose of their coming to the library. Hey, you guys don't really believe it, do you? Conan looked at his 3 teammates speechlessly. What those 2 kids said is obviously fake. Of course what the 2 kids said was fake, Conan asked the staff as soon as he entered the library. There is no such activity in the Bihar library. The reason why the other 2 elementary school students were so sure is probably similar to my dad dares to eat shit and my dad dares too. Sometimes it is really difficult for adults to understand the strong desire to win and the strange circuit of thought of children. How can it be fake? Don't talk nonsense, okay? Koji Magenta fired the first shot against Conan. Mitsuhiko Tsuburaya immediately followed up. That's right, when you hear others talking, you think they are lying. Conan, why don't you reflect on yourself more? Why do people like to lie to you for so many years? That's right, it's hard for us not to have a collector's edition of Kamen Rider. Well, Conan, you can't make me embarrassed to say hello to other classmates, right? Even Yoshida Ayumi, who has always been partial to Conan, couldn't resist the temptation of Kamen Rider at this moment. It can only be said that Ayumi is still young. When she grows up, she will understand that sometimes men and toys don't have to be chosen. The 2 can coexist. Do you understand what I mean? Hey, I said you really are. Conan was speechless, and his 3 teammates were also very good. He said it so bluntly. Why can't you hear it? Does he have to say directly that you guys have been deceived? Just when Conan was about to tell the news he had heard from the staff to the beige trio, a black dress suddenly entered Conan's field of vision. Conan subconsciously looked at the man in black, only to find that the man in black was Toyama Tobi, who was about to leave the library. Why did he come to the library? Conan may not know Toyama Tobi deeply enough, but he believes that the probability of Toyama Tobi appearing in izakayas, bars, and KTVs is definitely higher than in libraries. Although Toyama Tobi occasionally visits art galleries, as far as Conan knows, this is really Toyama Tobi's first time in the library. Conan's first reaction was that Toyama Tobi might be here to carry out a mission for the black organization. Then Conan suppressed this idea. Toyama Tobi's identity is too complicated. Not only is he a member of the black organization, but his network of relationships in the Metropolitan Police Department is also complicated. But whether it is the mission of the black organization or the commission of the Metropolitan Police Department, it is more attractive to Conan than playing treasure games with a group of children. Seeing that Toyama Tobi was about to leave the library, Conan quickly turned around and told the beige trio what he had learned from the staff, that there was no so-called treasure activity in the Bihar library. Then Conan said that he suddenly remembered that Xiaolan asked him to go home early today. So he asked the beige trio to go back early as well. Don't worry, we will go home after reading this comic. Go back early. Don't let Xiaolan worry. Tsuburaya Mitsuhiko nodded repeatedly to indicate that Conan could rest assured. They already knew that this event was fake. Seeing that Koji Magenta and Yoshida Ayumi both looked in agreement, Conan hurriedly chased after Toyama Tobi's back and ran out of the library. Shortly after Conan left the library, Koji Magenta asked Mitsuhiko dissatisfiedly. I said, Mitsuhiko, what are you doing? Conan just looked like he discovered something. You just let Conan go and let him be the center of attention? Koji Magenta, or the beige trio, are all like this. They never care whether they have the ability to deal with those troubles, but they are not happy if they are not taken with them when they have the opportunity to be in the limelight. The beige trio even forgot that Conan joined the junior detective team because they forced him to join. If this thing is replaced with 2 adult characters and the genders are switched, it is simply a modern version of forcing good women into prostitution. Hearing Kojima Genta's question, Mitsuhiko Tsuburaya showed a look of disgust. But due to Kojima Genta's advanced body shape, Mitsuhiko Tsuburaya could only patiently explain, Conan is an elementary school student like us. How could he encounter incidents every few days? Isn't it just right for him to leave now? We can hide when the library closes. It's a pity to miss the incident, but it would be a pity to miss the collector's edition of Kamen Rider. Mitsuhiko Tsuburaya's words were like a wake-up call, and even Yoshida Ayumi, who had originally fallen in love with someone else, showed admiration for Mitsuhiko. Ayumi's admiration made Mitsuhiko Tsuburaya feel flattered, and he was even more impressed with his wit just now. Wait and see, Conan. With today's performance, I will definitely make Ayumi look at me differently. Poor Mitsuhiko, this silly boy, had no idea that the difference between him and Conan was not in wisdom, knowledge, or reasoning. In Yoshida Ayumi's eyes, the biggest difference between Conan and Mitsuhiko was their faces. On the first day when Conan just transferred to Titan Elementary School, why did Yoshida Ayumi want to be friends with Conan? At that time, Yoshida Ayumi had no idea that Conan could reason, and it was because Conan's appearance stood out among his classmates. On the other side, Conan, who was busy following Toyama Tobi, had no idea that Yoshida Ayumi's little dog was trying his best to show his face in front of the goddess. Conan walked through the streets and alleys with his short legs, and walked aimlessly in the city walk. Toyama Tobi's behavior once made Conan wonder if he was discovered. But since Toyama Tobi left the library, he never looked behind him once. It's impossible that Toyama Tobi has another eye on the back of his head. Finally, Toyama Tobi stopped in front of a restaurant, and it seemed that he was going to have dinner in the restaurant. Speaking of dinner, Conan touched his hungry stomach. Conan, who had not eaten in the first place, was forced by Toyama Tobi to take a long walk. He was so hungry now. If Toyama Tobi could talk to someone at this moment to distract Conan, his hunger would not be so obvious. But Toyama Tobi's purpose of leaving the Beaker Library seemed to be to hang out. Just when Conan was thinking about backing out and considering whether to go back to the office, Toyama Tobi suddenly turned around and looked at the trash can that blocked Conan's figure. Following me for so long, you must be starving, right? Do you want to have a meal with me, Conan? Chapter 75. Surprising, unexpected, thrilling. Oh, I don't hide, the one behind the trash can. I saw you. Seeing that Conan didn't come out, Toyama Tobi directly pointed out his hiding place. Conan walked out from behind the trash can awkwardly. When did you find me? When? I found it when I left the library. Toyama Tobi pretended to think about it and then gave an answer. That means I was found when I just started to follow you? Conan suddenly found a blind spot. Since he was found when he just started to follow, does it mean that the reason why Toyama Tobi was wandering around in Beaker Town was just to play with him? No, this person really has nothing to do. Aren't you a member of the black organization? Why don't you do the organization's tasks? Can your black organization tolerate members of the organization doing nothing every day and being street urchins in Beaker Town? Conan would think so, which proves that his understanding of the organization is not deep enough. In the entire black organization, except for Jin who smokes and works overtime, how many people do serious work? Just look at it. Some of the people in the black organization are TV hosts, some are Hollywood stars, and then become second generation stars. There are also people working all over Tokyo, and of course there are also people who are the chairman of the group. Their words may not be very nice, but they are all talented. After looking at these people, look at Toyama Tobi. What is a street urchin? It's just ordinary. Okay, since you are here, do you want to have a meal? Toyama Tobi pointed to the restaurant behind him and invited Conan again. I'm not. Gulp. Conan wanted to stubbornly say that he was not hungry, but the sound of his stomach betrayed him. Toyama Tobi smiled and said nothing, turned around and walked into the restaurant. Conan, who was standing outside the restaurant, thought about it, and followed him into the restaurant. The noble and dirty theory of money made Conan no longer resist Toyama Tobi. If you want to defeat a person, you must know him well enough. Conan will not miss any opportunity to understand Toyama Tobi from now on. I thought that Toyama Tobi might say something during the meal, but Toyama Tobi didn't say a word during the whole meal. He looked like a monk who strictly abides by the rule of not talking while eating, and not talking while sleeping. Have you finished eating? Toyama Tobi wiped his mouth, and looked at Conan, who was full of food and wine, and asked with a smile. Have you finished eating? Have you finished eating? Have you finished eating? If you're done, let's go. Toyama Tobi took out a few bills, and handed them to the waiter, then put on a black coat, and said to Conan meaningfully, I'll take you to find some fun. Conan finally became hesitant when he heard this. But Toyama Tobi could see that Conan didn't seem to be completely hesitant, and the hesitation was just Conan's appearance. He seemed to be eager to try just when Conan was hesitating, whether to be subtle and reluctant. Toyama Tobi's ridicule came as expected. I didn't realize, Conan, you are still a reserved type. Toyama Tobi's teasing made Conan blush, and seeing this, Toyama Tobi laughed. What are you thinking, Kit? Is your thing useful? The fun I'm talking about is not the fun you think. Hurry up and catch up. Time will not wait. Toyama Tobi said and walked back. Conan, who has lived in Beaker Town for many years, recognized at a glance that this was a way back to Beaker Library. He was curious about what kind of fun Toyama Tobi was talking about. Toyama Tobi walked with Conan, and he was not idle at the same time. He talked all the way. Did you see the news about the mail truck robbery in Beaker Town a few days ago? I saw it. Conan nodded. In fact, he regarded this group of stupid thieves who robbed the mail truck as fun. There are many gangsters in Beaker Town who rob banks when they are short of money, but even Conan, who is well informed, has never seen a group of gangs robbing mail trucks. What are you trying to achieve? Is Beaker's bank not cooperating enough, or is the banknotes with charming fragrance not attractive enough? They are not stupid thieves, just a group of idiots who are high. However, the Metropolitan Police Department has made a lot of gains by following the clues of this group of people. For example, the police are arresting their superiors. Conan was a little surprised why Toyama Tobi told him this, whether he or Toyama Tobi seemed to have nothing to do with this group of drug dealers. Toyama Tobi saw Conan's confusion and showed the same expression as Secretary Yu Liang. Look, you are anxious again. If a detective is too anxious, it is easy to fall into the trap of the gangsters. Although I don't know who their superiors are, I know that the director of Beaker Library is probably also a part of the drug trafficking gang in the Tokyo area. Wait, who are you talking about? Conan looked at Toyama Tobi in panic. The director of the Beaker Library is the director of the library where you and your friends read comics today. Seeing Conan's panic expression, Toyama Tobi knew that this sharp kid had realized something. So he asked Conan with a smile, how is it? Did you find the collector's edition of Kamen Rider in the Beaker Library? Surprised? Unexpected? Thrilled? Conan didn't feel any surprise at all, and was only terrified. No wonder someone was discussing the collector's edition of Kamen Rider with the Beige Trio at school today. No wonder two children deliberately said that to the Beige Trio in the art museum just now. No wonder Toyama Tobi took him around Beaker Town. It turns out that the mastermind behind all this is Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi's food is naturally not that delicious. Conan didn't care about Toyama Tobi and rushed out in one step, heading straight for the Beaker Library. Unfortunately, Conan followed Toyama Tobi around Beaker Town and then had a leisurely meal. After dinner, he walked back slowly at a walking pace. When he arrived at the entrance of the Beaker Library, the door of the library had already been locked. Just when Conan was worrying about how to enter the library, the lights on the 6th floor of the library suddenly lit up. The 6th floor, that is the children's area. The head of the Beaker Library, Hideki Tsugawa, used his identity as a cover to hide the drugs in his hands in the bookshelves of the children's area. Unfortunately, he was discovered by the staff of the children's area these 2 days, and he chose to kill him to silence him. The body of the staff member is still abandoned on the ceiling of the elevator, going up and down with the elevator. Now your little friend seems to be about to discover his secret. Yuan Shenfei's reminder to Conan once again made Conan realize the urgency of the situation. Conan looked around and prepared to find something to smash the glass of the door. Well, it seems that you have thought of a way to deal with it. Seeing Conan's actions, Yuan Shenfei reminded, your foot strengthening shoes have been confiscated. Can you really subdue an adult who is wary of you with just the little thing in your hand? With such a large scope pointed at yourself, anyone would feel something is wrong. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.